All right, everyone's good? Okay, let me do this. The San Jose Sharks have two selections in this year's NHL Entry Draft. Who will they pick? We're going to find out. It's going to be a live stream. It's going to be live reactions. It's going to be super awesome. It's Teal Town, USA. If you want to be part of the show, you know the drill. Hit us up on all the social media, Twitter, everything else. We're here. Hang out with us in the chat. I am super excited for this show. Tonight, we are being joined by Mark. We're being joined by Jules. It's me at Ian Blogs Hockey. Ian Reed, obviously. And we're going to get this started. So if you guys have any technical issues, let me know and I can fix them as we go here kind of on the fly. Trying to have everything all set up. So, Mark, how you doing, buddy?
I am great. I am excited. This is the best day of the year on the hockey calendar.
Absolutely. Jules, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm super pumped, like Mark. Best day of the year.
Absolutely. Everything good here? Everyone happy with the audio? I think we're good. So I think that's fantastic. It's actually working the way it's supposed to. Thank God. So now that we've got this started, what are your guys' thoughts going in here? Like, what are you guys looking forward to most on this draft? Like Sharks related, not Sharks related. Mark, go ahead.
I'm looking forward to us picking what will likely be one of the most talented players in our franchise history as an 18-year-old or a 17-year-old. And I'm also just looking forward to seeing kind of the excitement with the top 10 picks. I mean, specifically the top 5, but I just want to see. I think there's gonna be a lot of movement this year in the first round in general, and I'm very curious to see what happens with some of those top names.
Jules, how about you? What are you looking forward to here?
I mean, this draft is insane. Like the top 10 in this draft, honestly, a lot of the top 4 guys could probably go number 1 any other year. So the fact that we're probably getting one of them, as long as there's no like random curveballs, is insane. And Eklund and whoever this other guy is going to be the the 2 cornerstones going forward. So I'm really pumped.
Mark, who do you think? Like, obviously, last year we were both here waiting for the Sharks to pick at 7 or 11, and that didn't happen, obviously. So we ended up being a lot longer than we thought we'd be, and we watched Shane Wright fall to 4. Is there a player this year that you think might tumble down that people might be surprised at?
So me personally, I didn't think so up until about a week ago, maybe even the last 3-4 days. There have been a lot of rumblings recently about Fantilli not going number 2, which is baffling to me because I feel like 1 and 2 were a lock all along, but it sounds like now that some people are convinced Fantilli's not going number 2. So as a Sharks fan sitting at number 4, this gets me very excited because I think he should be the number 2 pick, and he's the second best player in this draft. So if he's not taking a 2, and then maybe Columbus already has their mind set on somebody else, if he fell to the Sharks, that would be fantastic. So he's a name I'm watching right now. But obviously, then there's the Russian factor, with Michkov, where he's going is anybody's guess. I mean, some people have him at 2, others people have him going as late as 8 or 9. So I think those are the 2 names to watch early on in the draft.
Jules, any players that you think might pull a Shane Wright here, or
Leo Carlson? I think if the Ducks don't take him at 2, I honestly think Columbus is gonna go Will Smith, and I'll watch Columbus not go with Will Smith. But I mean, I honestly, Leo Carlson is a name I've liked since the World Juniors this year. Him and Beestead look really good together. And I know Beestead probably is not going to play that high up in the lineup, but you give Beestead a winger like Leo, he's gonna help Beestead a lot. So I'm really looking for Carlson. If Fantilli does drop, I'll be ecstatic.
Yeah.
But I've lowered my expectations with the Sharks just with everything. So fingers are not crossed on that.
Yeah, I mean, as we wait for this to get started, there has been a little bit of Sharks news that's leaked out. Obviously, they acquired Mackenzie Blackwood yesterday for 6th round pick. And I think I'm interested in what they're doing here because I think it's fine if as long as like the extension has been kind of similar to what they've signed with the current goalies that they brought in, right? Like Aiden Hill had a 2-year deal, Kaapo Kakkonen got a 2-year deal. So if you give like Mackenzie Blackwood a 2-year deal and see what happens, I don't hate it. What's your guys' thoughts on that acquisition?
If he sucks, the Sharks are guaranteed a high pick next year. Listen, it's two unknown goalies here. Kakkonen was horrible last year. Blackwood has kind of been crap in New Jersey. If we have bad goaltending, though, we get one of the top picks.
That's true.
So I'm not like it's a gamble. I don't mind it. It's not like a 4th-round pick or a 2nd-round pick that we gave up for Hill. So I'm not upset about it. It's a gamble, and like a rebuilding team should take this type of gamble on a young goaltender who needed a change of scenery.
Mark, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm really not stressed about that trade. First of all, it was a 6th-round pick, which I think are the type of picks we should be throwing around if we're going to be gambling on a goalie, as opposed to some of the picks we've thrown around in the past. He was pretty good a few years back with the Devils. He was looked at as potentially their next goalie, like to carry the franchise. Now he's had a few down years, and they're going in a different direction, the Devils, but I see zero risk in trading a 6th-rounder for a guy who knows, he could revitalize his career, and then maybe we either flip him for more or we can hold on to him. So low risk.
Yeah, I think it boils down to the extension for me. Like, as long as it's a short-term deal, I think it's fine. I think if they, if we get silly and go like 4 years, I'm a little more concerned at that point. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, like we know the Sharks are obviously going to make the pick, but like, to me, like, where are you guys at? Because you're saying that Will Smith's not going to be on the board, Jules. Like, to me, I've kind of been like, I'm just like, okay, Will Smith is Shark, and that's kind of where I've been for probably a month and a half now. It's just Will Smith's a Shark. Mark, where are you thinking the Sharks are going to go if everything goes the way we're expecting it to?
Yeah, I was kind of with you. I think I had sold myself on Smith. He was not my pick for majority of this season. I think Carlson's stock went up not way too high. It's appropriate to be that high, but for the last month or so, I've thought he's going 3. And that Smith or Michkov would be the picks for the Sharks at 4. And I don't know. I like risk. There are definitely times when I like risk, but with Michkov and what's going on and some of the negatives that have been reported with him and also the risks associated with it, it just scares me. And this is a pick the Sharks have to nail. Yeah. Like, this is our cornerstone of the rebuild right now. We don't know what's going to happen next year, likely another bad high pick, but we also just don't know where we'll be. And this year, the top 5 are all players that could go number 1 in another year. So we have to take advantage of that and not screw it up. So I'm leaning Smith, and that's how I think it's going to unfold. Doesn't mean he's my top choice, but I think where the Sharks are and who will be available, I think Smith is a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, Lacey kind of changed me on it because he was like, he doesn't see the, like, Columbus passing on Smith. And honestly, I kind of see it now that it was pointed out. Smith just seems like Columbus's type of player. Do you know what I mean? Just that type of player. You put Smith in between, like, Gaudreau and Laine. He's high-end skill, high-end, like, poise. He has amazing vision. I watched some of his highlights. Good Lord. Like, he's just, like, you're basically betting on skill there. And I don't know. He just seems like Columbus's type of dude. Now, I might be completely wrong, and he might fall to the Sharks, and I'll be happy about that. It's still one of the top centers in this draft. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, center's definitely, I think if you look at Columbus, I think center's definitely a need there. I think a lot of teams need centers. I think Anaheim probably needs a center too. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, the thing with Michkov for me is just like, again, I don't know what's going to happen in the world. And it's really sad that we're like, we're talking about a sport and it's like, oh yeah, but what if something crazy happens in the world and then this doesn't happen? I like Michkov, like everything, like all the highlights I've seen of Michkov, like I like the player, but there's just this part of me that just screams, no, this, like, I don't know. And maybe it's just because like I'm a Sharks fan, so I'm used to like things just not working out. And I don't know, but there's just something like that just gnaws at me. And I think too with Michkov, like, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't have any super insights on the inner workings of how this franchise operates. But to me, I just feel like, how, we hadn't really talked to a lot of NHL teams leading up to the draft and stuff. Like, I just feel like, I don't know. I always get the vibe like the Sharks just like they like to do things a certain way and they don't like when people deviate from that plan. So I don't know if not meeting with him, if they did even meet with him, we don't know. Up until right before the draft, like I wonder if that would impact on if the Sharks would take Michkov if he's on the board.
I'm confused that the Sharks didn't meet with him because from what I understood, Michkov was meeting like a lot of teams before the draft. And then yesterday in Guerrero's press conference, he was like, yeah, we met with all the Russian players we were interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know, to be honest, if the Sharks met with him, if I'm being completely honest, which is why I don't think the Sharks are going to go Michkov. And I see everyone in the chat, like, putting all caps up Michkov. But, like, I don't know if the Sharks even met with the guy.
Yeah.
So from my understanding from the press conference yesterday with Greer, and he also seemed very, like, he didn't really give a direct answer, so that might all just be shaded and like the teal curtain, but you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. Like, I think there's sometimes where, we come on here and we do our best with the information we have, which with the Sharks sometimes isn't a lot, because the teal curtain is very real.
Yeah.
Are they giving David Poile a guitar? That's nice.
Was it just me, or did the guitar look like it was a teal guitar? I'm like watching out of the corner of my eye here.
How long is this year's draft going to be? Any bets on that?
Forever. I hope you brought drinks.
4.5.
Oh no, I definitely did. I got my Starbucks. We're good.
Yeah, and like so let's I mean, obviously here's the game plan as of now. The game plan is obviously the Sharks are going to pick at 4, and then the Sharks pick again at, I don't know, I have it up here somewhere.
26.
Pick again at 26, right. I have a little draft handle here. So here's all the picks that the Sharks are going to make in tonight's and this week's draft. It's not the weekend, which is really weird to say. So obviously picks 4 and 26, should the Sharks not move them, will be today, and we will be around for both picks. Probably after 26, we'll probably have been on for long enough, and we'll try and, wrap things up after that pick is made, provided they don't trade out of the first round or whatever. And then obviously tomorrow the remaining picks will be made, and that's a different thing, rapid fire. We're not going to live stream that just because it's not that entertaining. Although it's a lot more rapid fire. Like the second day of the draft will be finished in quicker time than we'll spend here tonight. So. Yeah. So let's get us back here. All right. So yeah. So that is the plan. So we are gonna do here, and we'll talk about anything else. Obviously, we have you wonderful people in the chat who can obviously throw things at us, and we will definitely try and address as many things in the chat as we can as we go, as well as make some observations based on the draft here, and I'm obviously as the picks get made. Mark and Jules will be more than happy, I'm sure, to give their opinions on some of the picks as they happen. And then obviously if we see anything else happen, like if, the Sharks trade Erik Karlsson, we'll be obviously here to figure that out in real time. And you can see those looks on our faces for that too. So,
the Chicago Blackhawks are on the clock. Do they really need to be on the clock though? Just
be running
make
to the
the
stage.
pick. We all know who it is.
I don't know, guys. We need to pick up the phone.
They're gonna take Zach Benson. I'm kidding.
I was enjoying the pre-game interviews or pre-draft interviews on the NHL Network, even though I forget who it was from the Blackhawks org that they were talking to, but like they're already referring to Bedard as a Blackhawk. They're like, yeah. So when you take Bedard, is that the reason you trade for a haul? Like it's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. Oh, they're making their pick great, or they're coming up to the podium. Bedard looks so nervous, but he already knows he's a Blackhawk.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, do we really need to run the clock here? Come on.
Like, we all know who the pick
is in. Well, they didn't last the full 3 minutes.
That good question in the chat about Erik Karlsson. We'll definitely get to that in a second because I think that is a topic that I definitely want to hit as we go here. Because again, we're gonna be here a while. So we're gonna try and spread the stuff out as best as we can. All right, Kyle David's heading to the podium to draft Connor McDavid Connor Bedard. I mean, he's basically Connor McDavid. He's this generation's
Connor McDavid 2.0.
Yeah, he's like. I mean, that's how good this kid is. If you haven't had the privilege of seeing this kid play, like, this kid's the real deal. I am, maybe not super excited to watch him play in Chicago, but I think this kid's going to be an absolute superstar.
His release is insane. The way he gets shots off is insane. There's Vegas. I love how long they're extending.
Right. We got to congratulate the Vegas Golden Knights. Has anyone died? We got to give condolences, which is, appropriate, but I don't think anyone's. And then, yeah, there we go. Congratulate the Vegas Golden Knights on their Stanley Cup.
Good, there's Connor Bedard. Yeah. Who would have thunk it?
Say hi to the people in the draft party. Yep. Okay, Jack. Here's your this is your draft podium bingo.
There it is.
And to no one's surprise, they selected Connor Bedard.
100%.
So are we all on the same timeline with our streams right now?
We're mostly there, yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're mostly. I mean, obviously, again, no surprise here. Connor Bedard is just the best.
Yeah, Blackhawks getting a generational talent. He should jump in right away. And produce.
Him and Taylor Hall is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating because, I don't know, they do both like to shoot, though.
I mean, Bedard also is really good at passing.
He is, yeah. No, for
sure. He gives a lot of McDavid, Crosby vibes. He's going to be a really good player for them. They just have to build around him, and now they got their generational player. Now you have to actually build around him.
It's not fair.
So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and that. But you're right, though. I mean, I think that's you hit it right on the head. I mean, obviously, the thing now for Chicago is that you have to build a team around him. And you can look at other teams where, Edmonton, I think, springs to mind, right? Where I don't think they've done the best job of building around McDavid. I don't think they've done the worst job, but there's definitely things that they could have done better. Obviously having Leon Draisaitl too is dumb. Leon Draisaitl's so good. But yeah, I think obviously you have to build the team around him now. If you look at Edmonton, I think, for me, I look at Edmonton and I look in goal and I can't believe that we're wasting the best years of Connor McDavid's life with the goaltending that they've kind of rolled into the playoffs with. And goaltending, I think, is a little more tricky to nail down right now in the NHL because I don't think we have a lot. I don't think this generation of goaltending has been super. There's really high end. There's guys like Shesterkin and Sorokin and enter Russian name here that are really, really good. But the gap between the really good and the okay are tricky. It's pretty wide. It's a lot wider than I think it's been in a long time.
Yeah, it's a weird generation for goaltending, and I feel like the position has just changed in general. You see so many guys kind of come into their own sometimes in their mid-20s, and then they're done by in their late 20s, early 30s, and it seems like a constant revolving door except for a handful of names. I mean, you look at a guy like Hellebuck, he's a great goalie, but he still hasn't even won. Has he even won a playoff series?
Yeah, they just went to the conference finals once, didn't they?
Yeah, in 2017, I think they went to the conference finals.
Okay. But yeah, it's just I feel like in general, you don't need an elite goalie, I feel like, anymore to necessarily go far. It helps, and with certain teams, it will carry you. But obviously, we've all had our talks about Adin Hill. He's not an elite goalie, and he just won the cup.
Adin Hill got hot at the right time, and then there's all this revisionist history about how the Sharks let go of a generational goalie. No, the guy just got hot at the right time, and that's kind of what you need. You need some luck. You need a little bit of luck and the right goalie at the right time.
Yeah. Also, I mean, and let's not pretend that like I look at Vegas's blue line and I look at San Jose's blue line, and one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, I think any of those like top 6 guys in Vegas could be the top pairing for the Sharks when they trade Erik Karlsson.
Yeah.
Just being blunt about it.
Yeah.
This is the trick part, right? Because obviously you got to interview the. I mean, look at greatest day of these kids' life. It's fine. This is why this is going to take forever. We're going to probably be like 9 o'clock and it'd be like, okay, now with pick number 4, the San Jose Sharks.
Or the clock. No, not yet.
So so while they kind of yammer on here, obviously Erik Karlsson looks like that experiment is over. What are you guys looking for in a return for Erik Karlsson as we wait for the next pick?
I'd be looking for a first-round pick, definitely, preferably this year. But a first-round pick, potentially, depending on how much we retain in salary, a ton more. Like I'm talking first-round pick, second-round pick, a prospect, and possibly more. I mean, the Sharks are probably going to take some salary back or some player with salary back in addition to retaining. So if another team is getting Karlsson at, let's just say, starting at $9 million per year, that's a bargain for a Norris Trophy winning defenseman for the 3rd time. So, yeah, I think it's very reasonable to ask for a first rounder, possibly 2 first rounders, because the team that's also trading for him is going to most likely be a team that's getting that first round pick after the 20s. So that's what I'd be looking for in a return.
Jules?
Yeah, same here. I think it really depends. I mean, Greer said yesterday he's not going to give him away for nothing. Mm-hmm. But it really depends how much the Sharks retain. I mean, of course, first round pick and like a beer tier prospect, but then that's like the minimum.
Yeah.
But then depending on how much they retain, maybe get a second round pick and they're a high end prospect. Because Karlsson did just come off like a historic season. Like he reached 100 points, won his 3rd Norris. So some actual return, not just all futures, maybe something the Sharks could actually use in the present. You know what I mean? Because you do want futures, but also like they need an actual other defenseman to play defense, not just throw Henry Thrun to the Wolves here.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. Like to a point, it's hard. Like I think the hardest part right now is because you're seeing a lot of these trades that are happening right now where guys are just being given away. Now I know that the Sharks aren't just going to give Erik Karlsson away, but man, oh man, like it makes me nervous. Because you think like it should be like you look at a player like Erik Karlsson, you think this should be a big return, right? But then you look at like some of these other trades, like, oh god, what are we gonna get?
Yeah, that's what scares me.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect this return to be anything like Burns, where he was coming off a season where it seemed like his game was declining, which I think a lot of it had to do situational with the Sharks, but I think it's realistic to expect a big return for this one. Karlsson completely rejuvenated his game last year and kind of changed his image around the league. I mean, players were constantly commenting throughout the season how dominant he was. Yeah. Other teams' players. So I would not be shocked with the Sharks kind of getting a big haul as long as they retain some salary, which I think Greer will do. Like, I don't know the exact percentage, but $2.5 million, say, for 4 years on his 11.5. That I think works for probably the team receiving him as well as the Sharks.
Before the Ducks pick here, I have to give credit to Greer. He seems to actually be kind of embracing the rebuild, even though he hasn't fully come out and said it. You know what I mean? Like at least right now, they're heading in a good direction, I think. Oh my God, I just saw on Twitter who the Sharks selected. The Ducks selected, my bad.
Let's see. All right.
Sorry, I don't want to spoil it.
All right, here we go. The Anaheim Ducks. What have we done? Give me chaos. I kind of want chaos.
Karlsson. Fantilli, come on! Fantilli, come on! Holy shit.
Wow.
I cannot believe it.
Holy.
I guess the rumors were right.
How do you pass up? Okay, like Columbus takes Smith. Columbus.
Please take him. Oh my God, we're 1 pick from Fantilli. We are 1 pick from possibly getting Fantilli.
My God.
Oh my God.
Like,
Lacey just texted. Lacey put, I don't know if you guys saw in the crew, oh my God, in all caps. Yeah, so there's my genuine reaction to that happening. Holy crap.
wow.
This is the thing we've learned over the last couple of years. Like these rumblings that happen by all these insiders, like they end up being right. You know,
I can't believe
2 years in a row now.
Like, if you're Columbus,
you take Smith.
Well, if yes, if you're Columbus,
that's
you
what
take
you
Smith.
do, Ian. You take Smith.
You take
I'm
Smith, yeah. Wow, yeah. I mean, I'm just flabbergasted. Like, Fantilli's so good. Like, especially like, I mean, new GM, so I guess you're trying to do your thing, but like, and don't get me wrong, man. I like Leo Carlson, but Adam Fantilli should be the number.
Fantilli wasn't super impressive in the World Juniors or the World Championship, in my opinion. Like, he seemed to struggle to perform against men, so that might be something, but also I might be completely wrong. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Wow. Yeah, I am just flabbergasted.
So Ducks fans, how are you feeling?
I mean, again, I mean, to me, Fantilli was the guy that you take it to. Like, he was, in my opinion, he's the next best player available. But, like, the Ducks are still getting a hell of a player in Leo Carlson. And
yeah, I think.
But I don't know. If I'm a Ducks fan, I would be curious to see, and I wish I could like open another tab and just kind of scroll Twitter for a minute just to kind of get the pulse. But I look at Ducks are getting a hell of a player. I just don't think they took the right one based on who was available.
Well, here's or they're just confident in their center and they're playing Carlson on the wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, in reality, I think they see Carlson as a sure thing. I think he's, after Bedard, he's probably the most sure thing in his draft as a guy who, at a minimum, is probably going to be a second line player. So I don't think we need to be like grieving for Ducks fans, but I think in the end, it's just surprising because for about, I don't know, the last 500 days, Fantilli's been looked at as the number 2 pick. So it's pretty shocking.
Yeah, that's
wild, man.
I like, and now it's curious to see what Columbus does, man. Like, Columbus is going to be this year's Seattle, just having stuff fall into their laps. It's not even fair.
Is this another Shane Wright happening
too,
where the GMs just know something we don't?
I don't know. I think Shane Wright is still a good prospect, and it shows with how some of those picks went last year that the Devils, for example, and the Coyotes both made very smart decisions with Nemec and Cooley. You can definitely question Montreal's pick at this point with kind of how he did this year. But these guys do tend to know more than the average person on Twitter.
Sure.
So,
100%.
I think that's why it's always anyone's guess when you come into the draft. Like, you have all your projections and your rankings, and the insiders have their stuff. But really, I was actually listening to an interview recently from like a scout. I forget who it was, and he was just saying that like every team has their amateur scouts, their pro scouts, and everyone has their biases, just like anybody else in any part of life. So you just never know what they're going to come to in their conclusion of watching teams and players, and when they watched them. Like, a lot of these guys, they're scouting hundreds of young players. So maybe they saw the 5 or 6 great games Carlson had, and they saw, like you said, the World Juniors where Fantilli wasn't terribly impressive. He was okay, especially for his age, but
the one thing I'll say about him in the World Juniors, and Tiger brought this up in the chat, was like, you could not get the puck off him though. Like, maybe the counting stats weren't there, but you couldn't get the puck off his stick.
Yeah. He is a magnet like that, and you see it all the time with Michigan. I mean, you watch his Michigan highlights, and the way he played throughout the year, the puck just finds him. And then once he's got it, it's almost like it's glued to him, which is why I'm just praying for the next 5 minutes that he just hangs on the board.
Before CBJ makes their pick, David just said that there's chatter about Logan Couture with the Sharks and Tomas Hertl. Nothing close, but teams apparently have been calling about them. So just something to know.
Yeah, because that's what you do when like something's dead on the side of the road. You circle around it like a vulture.
Yeah.
And you pick all the good parts out of it. I think a lot of teams are going to look at the Sharks in that situation where they're like, hey, what about that guy?
Smith.
Here
Will
we go.
Smith,
All right, here we
please.
go. Columbus is on the
Please,
stage.
Will Smith, I beg you. Come on, man. Come
Or
to
Mitchkov.
They could like
decision.
Mitchkov too,
Mitchkov,
like
you never
that.
know.
Wow, that would
I don't think they're gonna go Mitchkov. They've been saying they want a franchise center.
I will say this
That is
though,
true.
like Yarmo has to get this right. Like he has to hit this out of the park because I think Yarmo is like I feel like Yarmo at this point should be on the hot seat if things in Columbus don't turn around rather quickly.
Oh Jesus. This is so stressful.
Yeah.
Of course, the
Anyone else
speeches,
shaking right now?
congratulations.
I know. I know.
Like Jesus, I think my heart rate
Give us
might be
the
like
pick.
150. Adam Fantilli.
I mean, he could probably jump to the NHL this year. He just dominated college. He's got nothing else to prove really
Yeah.
there.
I'm shocked. I'm still shocked Anaheim passed on him.
Yeah.
Like he's ridiculously good. I mean,
Yeah,
this is really good for
Well, now that
Oh no,
ahead.
I'm still flabbergasted that like Columbus had Fantilli drop into their lap. It's not
no,
fair.
literally. I don't think Yarmo was expecting that.
that's where I wonder what I mean, these GMs, they
Yep.
think of everything because they know going in to not bank on anything. But I do really wonder like how everyone's draft strategies are altered in the moment. Because let's just say they really did want Smith because they didn't think Fantilli was going to be available, and then Fantilli is available. So now they changed the whole strategy and they throw Smith off the board, and they're like, yeah, we want Fantilli, and maybe then it's just like Carlson then could have dropped to the Sharks if the Ducks had just taken Fantilli. So I love the impact when you think of these things because it also obviously has like a decade-long impact based on how these players either develop or who becomes the franchise player. That's the fascinating thing about the draft every year.
I will not be upset with Smith. Like, not gonna lie, I was banking on Smith at the start. I know he's probably not our top choice, but like, he's an elite player, and it seems like that's the way it's gonna go right now for San Jose. So I would not freak out too much, and I'd be really surprised if they take Mitchkov. But it's the Sharks. They can basically Smith or Mitchkov. It is right now for them.
Right, and I know a lot of people like they want Mitchkov, and I get it. Again, like I you look at the player and he definitely checks a lot of boxes, and I think the one thing about Smith that kind of annoys me as a Sharks fan is because obviously the narrative's, oh, he's a Boston guy, of course that's who they're going to take. Like, no, he's a really good player though. Like, it's okay if you take the Boston guy if he's really good, and Will Smith is really good, and it drives me batty that like everyone's going, oh, he's just the Boston. Like, yeah, but he's really good, so it's fine. Like, do you think, you know, like I understand the complaints or whatever, but I think in this situation, put it away. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, he is a really good player, and I do like him. He's gotten a lot of Zegras comparisons, and would not be upset about that. The Sharks need that a little, so you know. But if they go,
I do want to. Sorry, I do want to call out one other player, and I'm not predicting this at all. But there are some experts in the prospect world who were talking about Ryan Leonard being a top 5 player. And here's the thing. I'm just going to say he is a very, very good player. I would choose Smith over him. But the thing about Leonard is he's more of like the Greer mold, I would say. He's a battler. He can be physical. I forget who posted it, but there was an article about how pretty much. And he is way closer to that kind of player than a Wilson.
So here's my thing with Ryan Leonard. With Ryan Leonard, like, I just feel like if they took Ryan Leonard, it's a very old school Sharks pick,
It's a reach.
right? It's the guy with the high floor that you reach to grab. Like, I just feel like if that's the pick, like, people are gonna be like, oh, well, Tim Burke's clearly fucking in charge here, and I don't think they would be wrong.
I don't see them taking Leonard. I think
I agree.
if anyone's going to take a shot at Leonard in the top 5, it will be Montreal. I don't see the Sharks passing up on Smith, or like any of the Smith or Michkov. I'm going to throw Michkov in the mix because we can't deny he has an elite talent.
Right.
Yeah, he's number 1 on the board right now. Smith's number 2. There's the Sharks table.
Is Mike Greer on the phone? He better not be on the phone.
I do
Nope.
see some phones.
Put the phone down.
Nope, never mind. That was not a phone. Minute 10
If
still
they
on the
trade
clock,
this,
guys.
I'm gonna
Or at least on mine.
scream. No, yeah, I do agree. Ryan is a really good prospect, but it's not worth the top 4 pick.
Right, yeah, like I would love the player. I'm sure I would absolutely love the player. Like I do like the player a lot. But like but you'd look at 4 and you'd look at what's on the board and you'd be like, but why?
Yeah, I mean, being entirely honest, having Fantilli that close to our pick now is making it feel a little bit down, but I'm very excited about Smith if he is the pick, and even Michkov. Like either way, either one of those 2 picks is, I think, the second highest rated prospect we've ever drafted. So either way, this is a win as long as we don't do anything crazy and go off the board.
Please, Sharks, don't do anything dumb.
Okay.
Pick is in. They're not trading.
Thank God they're not trading. We can all take deep breaths. Everyone breathe. Jesus, this elevates people's anxiety, man. I'm telling you. I'm losing years of my life because of this team. Oh my God.
I can't believe they haven't. Yeah, I guess not. Wow.
I'm still in shock about what Anaheim just did, man.
Yeah, that's wild. That's going to be a big talking point for a while, I think.
Oh, here we go. Mike Greer. Oh, are they going to say congrats to the Golden Knights?
F those
It
guys.
just seems like a Mike Greer thing to do.
No, Patty Marleau on the podium. You know what else we enjoyed our time in Nashville?
That's great.
Conference finals in 2016.
Will Smith, San Jose Sharks, let's go!
Yes.
Woo!
All right.
I'm not
It's
mad.
official.
Y'all can say Michkov all you want in the chat. I'm
That's
really
fine.
not
Yeah.
mad
No,
about that pick.
I respect it. Like, I understand people liking Michkov a lot. I think it's fine. But this is kind of the pick that I kind of, like I said, this is what I've been kind of resigned to for well over a month. So,
Yeah, I'm not. Listen, if Anaheim picked Fantilli, we would have probably ended up with Carlson. Anaheim went with Carlson, and we end up with Smith, and I'm not upset about it.
nope. I really like it. I like this player a lot. And I'm looking forward to watching him develop more. How he's college guy. So how long do you think they keep him in college, Mark?
I think he will definitely play 1 season. It really depends on how he develops. It's tough to project these college guys. But I want to point out something that I actually tweeted earlier. I found it interesting about him. So he's in the U.S. National Development Program, right? A lot of their schedule is against D1 teams. So I went through his entire season and looked at his performance against those teams. And in the 15 games he played, and these are against good teams too. These are the Michigans, the North Dakotas, etc. He scored 10 goals, 15 assists, 25 points in 15 games. And when you project that over a full season, it's very close to what Fantilli did with Michigan. So I think if he puts up a Fantilli-like season in college next year, he could jump to the pros after 1 season, but everyone develops differently. So his timeline is TBD, but I think he's going to definitely play the 1 season, and I actually think he could jump right after that.
Yeah, I agree. I think he definitely plays 1 season. And also he's going – a thing to watch out for, I think it's Gabe Perreault's also going with him, or one of his line mates I think was also going to that college, right?
Ryan
Leonard as well. All 3 of them are.
Maybe the Sharks try to trade up and get Leonard also, and then combine those 2 together. And then you have like one of the top, like because that line absolutely demolished everyone, and he was a big factor in it. Like the dude is so good. I'm so excited to watch him. Him and Eklund.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine those two playing together. That's going to be the most exciting pairing the Sharks probably have ever had. Like.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Even him and Bordeleau.
Yeah.
I think they're both centers, so that may not work. But I'd be curious to see what he does with Bordeleau. He also has a really good shot, and the Sharks need like him dishing to Gushin is going to be so much fun to watch. Like,
oh my god,
he's so much fun to watch. Playmaking vision, offensive instinct, playing with pace. Yeah. Also, David Quinn's going to love this guy.
Yeah.
Can call him now.
Yeah. Pay attention to Hockey East next year. I mean, we're not even done yet. There's a bunch of guys for later in the first round that I think could fall to the Sharks, or the Sharks could trade up for. But with Northeastern already having some Sharks, and now Smith there, that's the conference to watch.
Northeastern also has Michael Fisher, I believe, who's also one of the Sharks prospects.
Yep.
And he's apparently, like, if you go to like the hockey prospecting, he has a really high star probability. Was not aware of that, but a guy to watch.
Yeah, Fisher.
Yeah.
He looked great last summer, too. He's one of the guys that I'm very high on. He looked great over the summer. He had injury issues, which derailed his season. But, yeah, him and Cam Lund basically both at Northeastern. You also, I'm losing it, but I think there's somebody else in Hockey East for the Sharks as well. Well, now we got Smith, but I don't think the Sharks are done taking Hockey East
Smith
guys
and Lund
either.
develop a chemistry. You plug those two in. Have them be your, like, I don't know if Lund has top line potential, but from what I saw in the rookie tournament, that guy looks good.
That guy can shoot.
Whew.
Yeah, he's got dangles too. He's got great puck handling abilities.
Do we think?
He's an example of one of the guys that I was talking to that doesn't quite jump in and dominate though in college. Like he looked very good, but he wasn't necessarily producing. So he has like a longer timeline, but I still think. I mean, Smith is obviously worlds ahead of
Chester
him,
in the
so
chat
it's
asking, is there any chance that you guys think Ryan Leonard falls to us at 26? And
no.
I don't think. I don't
chance.
think there's a chance. I think he's a guy who his stock has obviously risen a little bit as we've approached the draft. I think obviously you've heard a lot of people saying like, oh, this guy could jump into the top 5, which didn't happen, and I think that's the right play, but. I think if the Sharks want to get a guy like Ryan Leonard, they're gonna have to package something to move up.
Oh no, 100%.
Yeah.
Like I think honestly, like I was talking to Mark with this, and I said this before. If they take the 36 and 26 and trade up to get Ryan Leonard, it's a win of a draft for us. We won the draft.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would not complain about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think there's a better chance of him going now at 5 than there is of him even dropping to the teens. But you never know. You never know.
There was rumors that the kind of swirling that they were leaning towards Michkov. Apparently, the Habs. So that might be completely false, but just that's something to look out for. I'm curious if the Habs do take Michkov here, though.
I think it's the most logical pick. It's not like they're competing for a cup in the next 2 years, so they have time to wait.
Montreal is picking. I think it's fascinating because again, now that I think this is now that draft really. I mean, the draft kind of started at 2 really because after Fantilli didn't go, the draft kind of started at 2. But now I think things are going to get really interesting because now we're going to see like obviously Michkov being still on the board. He's now easily the best player available. So it's going to be curious to see how other teams approach him as well.
No, yeah, for sure.
To see. And anyone else pissed at Greer for congratulating Vic? No, no. I mean,
no.
Would I have laughed if they didn't? Sure, but I mean, it's sportsmanship's still a thing.
Yeah, I'm not upset that Greer did that, and he kind of has to. I'm really curious though to see who Montreal picks here. Whoa.
What do we got? Oh, Carey Price. Carey Price, looking good.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're a tiny bit
probably.
delayed.
Yeah, because I'm looking at
What
the
do we got?
paper.
Reinbacher.
We got Reinbacher.
Fifth or fifth.
Whoa,
Fifth.
that's that a little. I feel like that's off the board. Just a,
It is and it isn't. I think it's off the board in the fact that most of this year he wasn't considered this high, but he's definitely shown up pretty high in a lot of recent rankings. Yeah, the Michkov fall is
I
starting to
don't see
happen
him getting
here.
past Washington, Michkov, but
No way.
that would be
Yeah.
crazy. Who's up next on the clock? Is it Coyotes?
Coyotes.
They might take Michkov. They're more, or they go for Zach Benson because Zach Benson screams Coyotes. Him and Cooley.
Yeah. Dangerous.
I'm shocked they went with Reinbacher though. I know that was like projected and all, but still.
He
is-
is the top
he is,
defenseman probably in this draft, depending on what kind of defenseman you value. So I just think, yeah, it's a little bit earlier than I probably would have taken him. But if you do draft for team need or for whatever reason he was your best player available, I think it was fairly consensus, except for one or two rankings that I saw that
And
he
that's
was the top
I think that's
defenseman.
the thing that, like, I guess that's my question here, right? Is does Montreal think that Reinbacher was BPA or were they drafting for need? And I'm leaning towards need. Although, you know, I'm not saying they're idiots, but
Don't they have Lane Hudson? Or Lane Hudson? Like, I'm confused then. Because
Yeah.
they have a lot of good young...
Different type of defenseman.
you need
but yeah,
more
they
than
do.
one though. That's the
No,
thing.
I know, but they have more than just him. It felt like their defensive pool was pretty deep.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, if I was a Montreal fan, I wouldn't be super upset, but that just caught me off guard.
Yeah, and they don't have a second round pick. It looks like
Oof.
Montreal this year either, so they won't be picking again until at least like in the
I'm
60s.
curious how Twitter is reacting.
Yeah,
Joking.
I'm curious. Yeah, again, like it's definitely, we've had some definite wow moments, because I think this has been kind of like a head scratcher for me based on just, again, like, I think Reinbacher is good, but I didn't expect him to go at 5.
Yeah, I was thinking top 10 is realistic. In this zone, I would have been thinking Leonard or Michkov, even Dvorsky or Benson ahead of Reinbacher. But
That kid's a
they said the same
monster,
thing though when Moritz Seider was drafted. If you
Yeah.
remember that,
Yeah.
when Moritz Seider was drafted, there were a lot of like shocked people from that, and that worked out for
Yeah,
Detroit.
I mean,
So
I
we'll
didn't
see.
realize how
We'll
big
see.
this kid. Look how big this kid is. When you got him on stage at that point, jeez, Louise, kid's a monster.
6'2",
Wow.
185.
And just that's murder, man.
Yeah, you know he's gonna put on
Oh,
like
for
another
sure.
20 pounds of muscle probably in the first like
For
year.
sure.
I'm not coming down your side of the ice.
Ian, why don't you sign your ELC with the Sharks this coming year? Do you guys think Guerrero trades up?
Yeah.
I think it depends on who falls and how it shapes out. Like based on last year, I think 26 plus 36 should get you into the top 14 or 15. So if there's a name in the 10 to 15 range that the Sharks really want, I would not be surprised at all. I think we were talking about this pre-show that like our prospect pool actually has a lot of depth now, but what it's lacking
Correct.
is those blue chip prospects. And I think this is the year that the Sharks really need to give that boost to the rebuild. This is the one that you build around and try and get those big names to support the Beasteds, the Eklunds, the Bordelos, Gushins, and so on. Because those guys, Eklund has top tier potential, but the majority of that group is complementary second line type players. Now you're looking for those first liners or top pairing defensemen to really boost the future.
Yeah, for sure. And like you need someone to like support, not support. I think Eklund is a good complementary to Smith. In all honesty, I think those two are gonna gel well. You also have Gushin, who underrated in our pool, man. People need to give that kid more hype. But you know, I think Smith is gonna fit in well with the pool, and I'm excited to see him at rookie tournament. I'm so excited to see him at rookie tournament.
Yeah, a few weeks
July
away, right?
6th,
Isn't it
yeah.
mid-July?
Yeah.
Early
Hopefully,
July.
I don't know if Eklund's playing because he got injured, but hopefully they put him up with Gushin or something, and that's going to be so much fun to watch, man.
Oh, Gushin's so silly. so silly.
Yeah, he's the perfect example of like a guy I feel like who could either be an
Yeah.
absolute superstar or just not even play in the NHL.
He's like top 6, like give me 40 goals a year, or like I'm a full bust.
Yeah. And he's going to Europe to play in one of their leagues.
I mean,
like
the
one
one
other.
I will say this about Gusha, man. Like as far as like Barracuda guys go, like that to me was like the probably one of the most improved players from the start of the season to the end. Because like when the season started, I was like, I like Gush, like I had high hopes for him, but at first, you know, he was more of a perimeter guy who, you know, got kind of pushed off the puck a little easy. By the end, like the dude just the game was on his stick. Like there's the one game, I can't remember who they were playing against, where he just like he basically single-handedly won the game for them. He scored like 5 goals or something stupid, and it's just like to see the progression from, you know, this guy who had some fancy moves but was like, you know, more of a perimeter guy, didn't really want to get his nose dirty, to a guy who was just absolutely tenacious with the puck. Was definitely one of the highlights from the Barracuda this year.
I'm sorry, the Arizona Coyotes outfits are so funny. They're all in the like maroon,
they're all
like
the same suits.
Team uniforms. Yeah, but Gushin is going to be so much fun to watch for years. Oh, who are they picking?
Oh, Arizona's picking. All right. I'm probably delayed, so you guys can tell me, and I'll react to you. It'll be good.
I think I might be ahead. I don't know. Yeah.
I think we're both a little bit ahead of Ian.
Let me know what we do here.
Oh, Dmitry Simashev.
Really?
That's a little off the board, but he was gaining hype as the year went on.
Wow. That
is actually... Sure.
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Wow.
Best neutral zone defender.
Like that would I would have expected that with their second pick at 12, not at 6. That is okay.
He was gaining hype like throughout this last week's that like his stock would rise, but I did not expect him to rise up to 6.
Yeah. I think most people had him, I'd say, in the 10 to 25 range, leaning more towards like the 20s, but that's very interesting to see him go as high as 6. I mean, the first Russian off the board, I probably would have had him at 2nd, 3rd, or maybe even 4th, depending on the position you want.
Dude, and this is where the draft starts. Like, this is where the fun starts, because like none of us could predict this.
Yeah, Simashev. Like, I think Elite Prospects had him at 10. Trying to see where else.
Hockey News had him at 26.
Give me a second here.
With the Elite Prospect Draft, had him as like the best neutral zone defender, and like one of the best transition defensemen, and the best shutdown defenseman. So he is pretty good. I think we're just caught off guard with how early he was taken.
Yeah.
It's an interesting.
Yeah, and that's the thing also with the defensemen in this draft, because none of them are generational talents. So there was a good chance that there was going to be a shuffling of those players. You look at some of the other ones who are expected to go, like Sandin Pellikka, and the one I like, Wallander. Those guys, you know, they're both good offensively, and they're all projected somewhere between 10 and 30. It's just a matter of which team jumps on them at this point.
Hopefully Wallander falls to us lovingly. Like, honestly, I'd be really happy if we got him. Any of the, like, I feel like next year, from what I'm hearing, is more of the like elite defenseman, top end talent for the defenseman. This year's all seems to be forwards.
Future considerations had him at 24 as well. So yeah, it's an interesting pick by the. To be named Coyotes.
Bob McKenzie, who I always kind of value, also had him at 19.
Oh. Where did McKenzie had Smith at 5 or 4? Did he have him higher than Mitchkov?
Let's see. I don't recall.
Because I feel like he was higher on Smith.
McKenzie him at 4. I had Mitchkov at 5. Okay. Yeah. He had Reinbacker at 8.
Okay.
That's not bad.
Philly's up next, right?
Yep.
Cool beans. Who do you guys? I think Philly takes Leonard here. It seems like a Philly player.
Yeah.
Oh, does he ever? Yeah.
Like he feels like that Philly vibe, and him and Gauthier.
Dvorsky's a big body too. I mean, he's not a physical player really, but he's a big body. So I wouldn't be surprised if they took him. But I think Leonard is the more logical pick.
Also, another guy to watch out for the Sharks, Gabe Perreault. If he starts slipping, he also played with Smith in the under program. So just keep an eye out for that. Because if he starts slipping, I want the Sharks to snag him up as quickly as they humanly can.
Yeah, any of that national development program trio. So we got Smith. There's still 2 more. And even more. The other guy, he's supposedly the best skater in the draft. Oliver Moore, he's also from the development program, and his skating is amazing. Fastest, super shifty. So that would be a good player to look for later in the first round as well.
Yeah. No, for sure. I'm interested to see what Philly does, and I'm curious to see if Michkov slips past Washington. Because if Michkov slips
I
past
can't see
Washington,
any chance. Like,
but then I feel like he might because he was labeled character issues. I don't know if some teams had him like as character.
Yeah, but
issues,
if you're a team, if you're partial concerned with a guy like Michkov, is he going to come? Like I feel like if you're Washington, like. Of course he's gonna come. Ovechkin's there.
Yeah.
Right? Like
that's really
Or like if he falls to where's Pittsburgh in the first round?
Oh my god.
20 I think.
I don't think
14,
he would fall that far, right? But again, like I think if you have an established Russian like a Malkin, for example, or like obviously Ovechkin would be the more apt example because of where Washington's gonna select over. I can't see him falling all the way to Pittsburgh. Like that would be crazy to me. But again, if you're a team that has one of those guys, like I would be a lot more comfortable in being able to lure him over.
I think the Washington connection makes sense, and also it's going to infuriate fans even more because I could see him coming over sooner than the 3 years if he's got the incentive of playing with Ovechkin.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like, I could see them somehow making that work as a deal with his Russian club or something. Just like, let's get him over here, and 100%. He can play with the best Russian of all time.
Speaking of Michkov, they just showed his face on the camera. But yeah, I'm curious to see what Philly does here. Maybe they take Michkov, take a gamble. They have they kind of have stuff to lose, but Breer's a new GM, make a splash, kind of.
Maybe. I just don't think it makes a ton of.
No, I get
it. They might surprise me. It doesn't feel like a very Philly pick, but new GM, like you say, so we'll see. Fan is fascinated. Bozosaurus in the chat. If Washington pits Michkov, is it possible for him to claim asylum at the podium? Oh, the chat. Never. I love you guys.
Oh, they went with Michkov.
Ooh.
Flyers took Michkov.
It's a good pick.
It's
a great pick.
It's a great pick, and I think if I'm a Flyers fan, man, like I think this would excite me a lot because it's obviously like I don't think under previous regimes, plural, Michkov's the play. So I think if I'm a Flyers fan and I'm wondering what this new regime is going to bring, like this is a good first sign in my opinion.
Yeah, no, this is a really good pick for them.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. If this was a different situation, let's say he was playing here in North America, there would have been a conversation for him to even be
first.
Right behind Bedard. He's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's an amazing player, and there's basically been almost no one like him historically in the KHL. I mean, the names he's with in terms of his performance there and the production he's done is just, it's off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an absolute years from now, this will most likely be the steal of the draft, and it happens at number 7. But that being said, there was a lot of risks for GMs to take on this pick. As people have said, like, there's a chance the GM who drafts him here wasn't going to even be in the job by the time he comes over. Now, Briere is new. Yeah. So he probably has a little bit more of a leash, and they're probably telling him, okay, yeah, you're going to be here for the next few years, so feel comfortable to make that pick. But if this was someone else who's maybe already on the hot seat or has already been there a few seasons, you worry about picking a guy who most likely cannot come here for 3 years at a minimum.
Yeah. I honestly thought they were going Leonard, man. I said Michkov as a joke a little.
Like I said though, if I'm a Flyers fan though, like I'm loving this because I think it shows, like, you know, hopefully you're hoping that this is a sign of something like a new kind of approach, because I think the Flyers for a long time, you know, they've valued certain things, but probably to the detriment of the development of their team. And I think, you know, the Flyers probably want to get back in. They play in an absolutely hellish division. You want to, you know, if you want to get back into contention at some point, I mean, these are the kind of picks that you want to make. Like, obviously, now Michkov's going to be a little further out for them, so I think there is that. And obviously, I think, you know, love the player, but probably don't love the timeline if you're a Flyers fan and you've kind of suffered through the crap you've had to suffer through a couple of different regimes. But yeah, I love this player for them.
Happy he's going to be in the East too.
Yes, yes. That too, 100%.
We're dodging some bullets here, right?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Fantilli. You know what? I didn't even think about that. Fantilli going to the East, amazing. Not in the division. No, Leo Carlson's going to be a problem. Don't get me wrong. Leo Carlson's going to be an absolute problem. But I think I'd still rather have Leo Carlson down the highway than Fantilli.
No, for sure.
Speaking through a translator here at the interview, right? That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Wild.
So we've got Caps on the clock.
They must be so mad.
Do they go for Zach Benson?
Like, I want how is there not a camera on the Caps table when Michkov's getting picked by the Flyers? How do we miss that?
I imagine Ovechkin was probably texting with Michkov.
Oh, 100%.
It's happening, buddy. It's happening. You're coming home.
There was also speculations Michkov was trying to get on a certain team. Like, kind of, you know, maneuvering his way to get on a certain team.
Doesn't
that
work
dude's
in the
good,
NHL.
though.
Yeah, he's good. Like, again, I really like Michkov. I would have been ecstatic if the Sharks got him, but I'm not upset with Smith. I think that's the one thing. Like, this is so far. This may be, other than I really like the Eklund pick too, so I shouldn't say that. But this has been one of the happier I've been. Like, just super optimistic. Not really. I like the pick, but like, I don't have that this year. And in the Eklund draft, it was the same thing. Like, I was super happy with the Eklund pick, but
the Eklund pick no one was expecting.
Exactly. That's, that was a shout out loud. That was a shout out loud moment. It was like Eklund was not supposed to drop to us.
Right.
It was beyond exciting to get someone of his caliber.
Oh no, for sure.
Like a top 3 or top 4 talent in that draft.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. He even won the EJ Maguire award, the ones that, like, people were making fun of Connor Bedard for winning because he has, like, an NHL award before playing in the NHL. Sharks have a player who has done that in Eklund.
It's amazing. So it's the Caps up next day, and they're going up. Okay.
Calling Zach Benson here, or Gabe Perreault. Not Gabe Perreault. Leonard, maybe.
Hurry up and get to 26 already. If only that's how this worked.
Just fast forward. I mean,
I like this. I mean, this draft's been interesting. I think there's been a lot of really interesting picks so far.
Yeah.
I think that's been kind of the exciting thing about the last 2 years is the consensus change on draft day. Like, last year, the top 5 was extremely exciting to see who was going where. And to see Wright drop pick after pick. And then this year, like, despite the fact that there was kind of a consensus top 5, no one knew where anyone was going. And then you see it ended up having a big shuffle there. And now we're watching the Michkov drop. And now you get that next wave of guys who most people haven't been talking about because there's just so many, like, top players. But these guys are all very good still in this 5 to, like, 20 range. So this is another really good tier of talent coming up.
Ryan Leonard. Yeah, that's not surprising. He's going to be good for them. Benson is a guy though now to watch who's starting to fall.
Yeah.
See, do they show John Leonard? Is he there in the crowd? I imagine he must be.
Probably.
Yep, there he is. My boy.
John Leonard.
Oh, still hurts. It still hurts, guys.
Yeah, look at Washington's getting a hell of a player here. And again, another player where I'm just like, I'm really happy that, you know, like I love who the Sharks got, but there's certain players that you're just happy to watch go east, and Ryan Leonard's definitely one of them. Where it's like you're just happy he's not like going to be down the highway. The Sharks have enough guys that are just down the highway or in the division,
Connor
right?
McDavid.
Yeah, like that's.
Yeah, we don't need more in the Pacific right now.
We need no more awful people in the Pacific to come in and torture us. But no, Ryan Leonard, I mean, good pick. I mean, obviously a guy whose stock has been rising, so I'm not shocked to see him creep into the 10 like this. But yeah, I think you know, Jules kind of hit it on the head, and I don't know what you think about this, Mark. Like Benson now he's got to be one of the BPAs now, right?
I think so. I think Dvorsky is probably the next one at this point. But yeah, Benson, and I'm also curious as to what happens with the next defenseman, because I think Sandin Pellikka is going to be the next one. So we'll see what happens with him. He should be the next defenseman off the board, but then again, who knows? So he could be the next pick here. Who is it? It's Detroit coming up. Actually, they've got really good defensive prospects, so I don't know.
I think they go Benson. I think Detroit goes Benson. That's my guess. He seems like a Yzerman player.
Yeah, Yzerman is one of the geniuses in the hockey world. So whoever he takes, I'm gonna trust is the best player in that spot. Because his drafting record at this point has been absolutely amazing. But yeah, I think Benson makes sense. I think Dvorsky makes sense. I'm trying to think if there's any other names here that I would really want to say really belong in this spot. There's a whole bunch in this next range that I feel like you can just jumble. So it's hard to say. But Leonard and Dvorsky, I think, would be the consensus. Or not Leonard, sorry. Dvorsky and Benson.
Yeah, it's either... Yeah. Who's after Philly? Because, I think Dvorsky goes to Blues and Benson goes to Detroit. It just seems like more of a fit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But also it's Yzerman, so he might go and take, like, Bo Aki for all we know. Aku or Aki, sorry if I mispronounced it. And he's going to be the steal of the century.
Yeah, Detroit's an interesting team because if you look at, like, I think at Detroit, like, obviously I think Detroit's a team, like I talked about how like Columbus has to kind of start turning things around in short order. I feel like Detroit's on that list too, where I feel like they've been, you know, Yzerman's been around there I think for 4 years now, like, so I'm curious to see, because I think if they don't, because if you look at like you're starting to see like you're gonna, I lost my train of thought, I apologize, let me try it again. I think with Steve Yzerman, like you're gonna start seeing like the fruit of his draft picks now starting this year. I think you're really gonna start seeing a return on investment on those draft classes. So I think it's definitely something that he has to kind of nail here, because I think Detroit's another team that I think has been kind of floundering long enough where they kind of have to turn things around. And Yzerman's been there long enough now that I think this is a team that has to start sniffing the playoffs, I think, in pretty short order. Even though the East is pretty nasty, but at the end of the game, it's winning's the name of the game, right? So
yeah, the window I think kind of starts opening up now, because you have your franchise defenseman Insider, who's developing. They've got Lucas Raymond, who looks really good. They also have Edvinson, who got his first sniff of NHL hockey last year. They have the goalie in Kosa, who is but he's still a prospect. And then you have Casper, who they took last year, who's another highly rated prospect. So now you add in whoever they're about to take here, and you've got a really good group to build around. That's why I'm starting to think they might start focusing on acquiring some NHL experienced talent to start filling in around those prospects.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Jules. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Maybe they're trading the pick? Oh, no, they're going up. Okay, never mind. It looked for a sec like they weren't going up, so I thought maybe Detroit was going to trade.
Yeah, and they also have the 17th pick, too. So they could take someone here, potentially trade that pick later.
Yeah, I think the thing with Yzerman, like his draft so far, is like I think he's definitely done well in the top. It's just you need to start seeing some of those later picks start picking up some NHL games at this point.
Yeah, the problem is the Eastern Conference is just so jacked, and it's hard for these teams with these young players. Like, you even look at Buffalo; they look like they're turning that corner, but they still can get in the playoffs because the 8th, 9th, 10th place teams are still really good teams in the East.
All right, let's see who they go with here.
Fascinated.
This draft is so interesting. Is it going to be an off-the-board pick, Barman?
I don't even know if there's a board that exists anymore. I mean, there's a board that exists, but this draft's been all over the place.
Because it's an off-the-board pick. Kind of. He was projected to go everywhere, this guy.
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys who had a wide range. Nate Danielson, right? Yeah, I thought he'd go a little bit later, but there were obviously there's always going to be some bowler predictions, but I think he's a solid player, and I think he has a pretty high floor too.
I just honestly thought Detroit was going to go Benson. Is this enough? Can Benson drop to 26?
No, but I think it could drop to the teens. I think it definitely dropped to the teens, and that's one of the things I think I was hoping for is then seeing the Sharks trade up. But I think 20s would be a stretch.
Give me some hope. He's a short king. Short kings drop.
What do we got here?
Oh, Jesus, this draft is all over the place, man. Trade up for Benson? Yeah. I agree with you, Twitter.
Yeah, again, like, what do I got? Which draft guide do I have open right now? Yeah, and I again, another pick where, again, like, and there's obviously there's not a lot of consensus once you get out of the top picks, but I think I lost it. I had it. 27? Yeah, 27, I think future considerations had him. So, a fascinating first round so far.
Oh, no, for sure. I just saw Twitter. John
26 in elite prospects. So, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think, again, Steve Yzerman's probably earned a little bit of trust, but I think, again, like, you have to start seeing some. My thing with Steve Yzerman's drafts is I need to start seeing some more return on investment on the not tippy top guys, because I think it's good. You have to hit on the tippy top guys, but you also need the other guys to kind of fill in. And I don't feel like we've seen that enough with the Detroit picks so far, even though it is a little early still, because he's only been there 4 years, and obviously with development curves and stuff like that, especially for guys that round out the back of a draft. But yeah, I think that's my only thing with the Red Wings.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Hockey News had Danielson at 22, so a little bit off the board according to a few of the rankings that we're seeing, but again, the center position also, kind of like defenseman, always gets put a little bit on a pedestal. Yep, so 100%. You just never know where some of those guys are going to go.
This draft has gone places I
yeah,
did
I know.
not
I was
expect.
like, hey guys, put a bunch of stuff in a document for me, just in case we run out of things to talk about.
Yo.
Not this draft, kids. Not this draft.
Like the fact that Fantilli went at 3, and then you have like, I don't know what else is happening with these numbers. I think this part of the draft is the most interesting because like the top 4 was pretty solidified.
Apparently not.
So looking at
solidified.
Well, yes, 1 was solidified, but like you knew the players who were going to go.
Right? Yeah.
looking at elite prospects where they kind of show you everyone's projections, it looks like his highest for Nate Danielson was 13. Oof. So I guess you could say it's a little bit off the board. Most had him going in the teens. Some had him going as late as 27 and 32. So, yeah, a little bit off the board. But again, center.
Not bad.
Not shocked.
I mean, he did pretty well in the WHL. So, like, a 6'2" center, like, he's gonna be taken early, I guess. Yeah.
What is Bedard signing? Is he signing his ELC right now?
Oh, for sure. No, yeah, I saw that tweet also. It's really funny.
They just showed him on at the Sportsnet feed. They just showed him before they went to commercial break signing something. I'm like, oh, NHL contract. Okay, no. Oh my goodness.
Oh, so Smith is going to development camp. Yes, we're gonna see this guy. Yeah, he has. Shang just tweeted it out.
Oh yeah, because they can go to that camp because
they just have to pay their own way. That's the rule with it. They have to pay pretty much everything until they sign their pro contract by themselves.
I'm really excited to see Smith. I don't care who they pair him up with. Give him anyone who has some skill. Him and Havlet dishing to each other is going to be so much fun.
Hey, friends in the chat. Are we getting a stream of the prospect scrimmage this time around? Does anyone know? Friends in the chat.
So. They've done
so.
the last 2 years, right?
I feel like it's been a thing they've done the last 2 years. So I'm hoping that this will definitely be a thing that happens. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking that out. Be interested to see.
Oh, who's up? Blues. They might go Dvorsky here or Benson, but again, I was wrong the last pick, so who knows?
Yeah, Brandon Workman in the chat saying still no trade. Are we shocked that we don't have trades? What happened to Mark?
No, actually, there was a stat I saw the other day that showed that trades rarely happen with top 10 picks. I think now is when you'll start seeing teams being more willing to move. But I think it's only been a handful of times in the last 15 years or whatever where a top 10 pick has been exchanged.
Yeah, I would start looking at trades with the Canucks, and after once the Canucks start picking, then I would start actually seeing trades happen. I'd be very surprised if any, especially with this year's top 10. This isn't last year's top 10. Lovingly put.
Yeah, teams that have multiple picks in the first round too, they might either move down. Yeah. Someone else might try to get into the first round if they don't have a pick. So, yeah, there's a lot of movement that could probably happen now in the next, I'd say, 10 to 15 range.
Oh, did you guys see the Ducks' the unveiled 30th jersey? Looks pretty sick. Oh, Dvorsky called it.
Oh, there you go.
That's a good pick here at 10.
Benson is falling, though. That's the thing. I really want Greer to trade up for Benson.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I think that's the thing. I think now if you're... I don't know why Mark keeps changing sizes on me. I apologize, Mark. You keep going, to little tiny box to big box, and I know. Just fighting with OVS trying to fix it. Okay, yeah, Benson I think is going to be... and that's where I think you're going to start to see people be like, hey, you got that pick, and this player's still on the board. Now I think you're going to start seeing, if teams do identify a guy they like Benson, it'll be interesting to see if they... Especially teams that have multiple picks to make, like the Sharks, for example, who have a late first, but they also have an early second, and I think you could package those together, or a player or whatever. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see because when I was as a guy like Zach Benson Zach Benson's a player I do like a lot, so it'll be interesting to see if anyone wants to trade up to see if they can get him before another team scoops him up.
Yeah, and this is the pick coming up that the Sharks traded down from last year. So we kind of know the value of what it's worth is similar to what the Sharks have. So if Greer was to make a move like that, I think this is the range where it slowly starts becoming more realistic. Is pairing that 26 and 36 and potentially another mid to late round pick into anywhere from 11 and beyond.
Yeah, apparently Doug Armstrong had something going. Like David said, he had a last-minute phone call, but the Blues still picked. So who knows? Might have been Greer. Hoping it was Greer to try to trade up for Benson. If y'all can't tell, I really like Benson. He's like the other guy I was hoping the Sharks would either fall to 26 or the Sharks would trade up for him.
I do like this pick for the Blues, though.
Oh, no, really good.
Oh, yeah, Dvorsky? Yeah, that's a good pick. I think his upside is the part that is somewhat questioned, but he's already playing against professionals. He's got a lot of talent. I think he also is one of those guys that has a fairly high floor, but it's really just a matter of how good he can be and how productive he can be at the professional level.
Ruben, thanks for the show. Currently on the way home from work. Good thing decompress to. Happy to help you decompress from work. And again, we appreciate you guys watching, because I know like this show a little more different than what we normally do. Obviously, it's you're reacting on the fly. You're trying not to have heaps of dead air. It's probably the most difficult thing we do all year. So if you are enjoying it, I am happy you are enjoying it, and we appreciate you hanging out with us.
Is Connor Bedard actually signing his ELC to Twitter? Because I was watching this clip of him for 6 seconds signing something.
I don't know. They showed him signing something on the Sportsnet feed as they went to commercial.
Yeah, it was also on the... Watch that be announced in the middle of the draft casually.
Oh, here's his ELC.
Like... Sorry, that was really random, but it's so funny to me.
Yeah, I'm seeing that Ducks jersey now. That does.
Oh, that's a really
sick.
good question. I'm gonna throw this to the from the chat. Who is an NHL player you would find comparable to Will Smith? Like, if you were saying find me a player like Will Smith, who's the NHL player you would point to try and describe Will Smith?
Mark, I'm gonna let you go first on this one.
I think talent-wise, I like to think of him as a little bit slower Barzal. He's very shifty. He's very good with the puck. Great vision. I think he does project more as a playmaker at the NHL level. But if you've ever watched Barzal, he's one of my favorite NHL players. And he's just electric with the puck. And I think Smith is similar to that, just not quite as fast. Like Barzal can just do circles in the offensive zone and just do it at a crazy speed. I don't think Smith will do that. But I think in terms of his skill and the game he plays, I see a lot of that.
Yeah. I think honestly with skill, he's probably he has the best hands in this draft. I think personally he has one of the best hands in this draft. Like that guy can deke and he's really good with the puck. So I think skill-wise, he honestly kind of gives me Zegras vibes. And that's why I said at the beginning, like you're betting on skill here with Smith, and I think Zegras is a fair comparable. He's not going to become the next Zegras. I'm just saying, like, skill-wise, he kind of gives me that vibe.
I like all these things. Tiger said Marian Hossa in the chat.
Oh yeah, because so basically the hockey prospecting, like with their models and comparisons, he was comparable to Marian Hossa. That's what I saw out also on Twitter.
I don't hate that either. So it looks like Vancouver's going to pick.
Regardless, he should be resulting in a lot of highlights, and that's kind of the player that the Sharks haven't so much had throughout their history. I feel like the Sharks have been a lot of north-south players, and I think Smith is going to be one of those guys who brings fans out of their seat, even when he's not necessarily putting the puck in the back of the net.
I'm fascinated to see what Vancouver does.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to go with, from what I'm hearing, they're going with another D, I think. My feed is probably very much so ahead of y'all's right now.
That's okay. No, that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. Because Vancouver's a team that makes no sense to me at all.
Tom Willander, defense. Why?
Okay, that's one of the guys I was hoping would fall to us.
But Benson is available. Why not? Okay.
There's a lot of question marks with Benson. That's the one thing. Like, he's super talented.
I get it, but like
I don't know if he's quite the sure thing. There are a lot of good players in this range, and I don't know. I absolutely, at this point, since the Sharks have already made a pick, would love to take a chance on Benson, but I don't know if you're a team who's making your first pick in the draft necessarily, if he's a sure thing.
I'm curious to see what happens here. This is not a bad pickup for the Canucks, for any Canucks fans. Like, he's a really good defenseman.
Are you surprised where though? Like 11?
I was thinking more towards around 20 is where I thought he was going to go, but he's very talented and he's not bad defensively. A lot of times kids his age struggle defensively if they're really good offensively, and I think he's a good defenseman in both ends of the rink. So I had him more in the 20 range, which is why I was hoping the Sharks could maybe get him at 26 or maybe move up a few picks to get him. But he's also going to BU, which I thought would be a little bit of a Mike Greer connection.
Yeah, so. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just shocked he went at 11 because, like Mark, I had him more like in the 15, 20-ish range. But again, not a bad pickup for the Canucks. He's a really good defenseman. Where's the draft guide that I was looking at? I don't have it pulled up, but he's going to be a really good defenseman for them, and they need that a little.
Are you surprised that he went before Sandin Pellikka, though?
He's really good defensively. I feel like teams right now are higher on that than they are on offense. At least they are. I'm saying, like, if this was the Sharks, I'd speak differently, but he's a really good shutdown defenseman.
Yeah, based on past drafts, I would say I'm a little bit surprised just because Sandin Pellikka is a bit flashier. And a lot of these NHL teams think they can teach the defensive side of the game somewhat. As we've seen with Merkley, that's not always the case. But yeah, it's always tricky with defensemen what these teams value, because I think consensus-wise, Sandin Pellikka was predicted mostly in like anywhere from 7 or 8 to about 15, whereas Lander was dropping even to 30 sometimes in people's projections. So I think it's a little bit of a surprise. But to me, in terms of what he brings, it's not shocking because I feel like he is less risk and he's more projectable to the NHL game.
Is Pellikka right-handed or left-handed? He's left-handed, isn't he?
He is he shoots right.
Never mind. Because I was about to say, if he's a left-handed, that might be because Tom Willander is a right-handed, and they might right-hand defenseman minimal. You know what I mean? So I thought maybe that, but no.
I mean, it is true, and like Kevin Way in the chat saying they do have Hughes already, so there is that too. It's not like, I think if you have Hughes already and you look between Pellikka and Willander, I mean, obviously I think you have Hughes, which obviously I think is going to be a better player and is a better player than Sandin Pellikka is going to be. So yeah, I guess it makes more sense now. This makes sense to me now. Yeah.
Similar style too. I think some of the people have even listed Hughes as Sandin Pellikka's comparable. So yeah, they might be just going for, maybe they're thinking this is the guy who's going to be his partner.
Yeah, and that's why I was also kind of not surprised, because like Hughes is very offensive, and like we've seen what happens when you try to put two offensive defensemen together. From a Sharks perspective, not saying this is the next EK65 and Brent Burns situation, but like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Who's next here with the pick?
Arizona.
Coyotes are back on the clock.
Oh.
So this is their second pick.
I'm curious to see if they maybe try to trade down.
This could be where you see Benson go, because they already took the defenseman. Oh, no. Yeah, they already took the defenseman earlier. So maybe now they're looking for some forward talent. Yeah,
I'm curious to see if Benson goes here. Benson or another guy to... Okay, this might be too early. Gavin Brindley.
I don't think is anything too early at this point. Like, you look at like the way some of these guys have gone and where the rankings have been. Like, this has been like, I feel like this year it's been like rankings just do not matter so far.
Yeah, this is the part where, honestly, with this year's group, because I feel like they're all very similar, I don't really have guys that are like my favorites at this point. Like, I guess Benson's kind of my last of the group that I consider in that top tier. And then now there's just a whole bunch of names that are very similar, like Yeager, Barlow. Wood. These are the forwards that are all similar. And then on the defensive side, you got some of the more talented offensive defensemen like Dragicevic and Gulyayev. So
Honestly, yeah.
I think it's a jumble at this point.
I feel like Arizona's going to go more. That's just my weird feeling right now. It seems like a guy they would like, and they can solidify their like center depth with like Cooley, Geeky. Then you add more to that. You have a pretty good center depth.
So still no trade.
Yeah,
they're walking up to the podium.
That may be the most surprising thing so far is the lack of trades.
Wait for it.
Because the Sharks picked.
Gary has no trades to mess up. Who are they going with? Oh! Daniil Boot.
Okay. Another player I was looking for at 26. Talented Russian.
That's interesting. Yeah.
This draft is really all over the place.
This
man.
draft is wild. Yeah. Like, again, rankings be damned.
Yeah. But also with this draft, it feels like it's so deep that you don't really need rank.
No, for sure.
I really liked this guy, and like Mark said, I was hoping he would fall to 26 for the Sharks.
Yeah. He's big. He's talented. Another one of the Russian players. 6'5", 203 pounds. But he's also talented. Like at that size, you don't usually have guys who are really good on the puck, and he is. So I think that kind of, I guess, spoke for itself with them taking him at 12. But I thought he might drop as well and be available in that 26 range. I actually had highlighted him in my preview as one of the players I was looking for us to get. But not like disappointed because there's just so many names that are the more these guys that drop go forward, some of those guys who are projected in the 10-15 range are going to still be on the board.
Can I point something out here? The Metropolitan Division now has Matvei Michkov and Adam Fantilli.
Right. And they're already pretty jacked.
Like that's to me, that's the toughest
out.
division in hockey.
We as Sharks fans should be ecstatic of what's happening right now. Carlson 100%. Is a problem, yes.
Yes, but Carlson will be a problem.
And Bedard in the West will also be an issue, but
not in the division.
Not a division.
That is an important distinction.
Does LA have a pick? They traded theirs, didn't they? Did they trade that in the Dubois trade that went down early?
So give me a second. Yeah, LA does.
LA doesn't have a first rounder. They traded theirs, I think, to Philly.
What did you guys think of the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade for LA?
I like
Jets.
it for the Kings. I think the Kings are. I think the Kings are at the point now where they have a decent foundation of prospects, and now they need to start kind of doing things to accelerate their timeline. This is a team that's been in the playoffs 2 years in a row, and I think they've been kind of a happy to be there team, and I think they want to move past the happy to be there phase. And I think Pierre-Luc Dubois, they definitely paid a lot for him, but I really, really like the player, and I think that the Kings are going to be a problem for a long time. Like I think they're going to be one of the teams to beat in the Pacific in very, very short order.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious what it means for Byfield, because just now down the center there you have a lot of depth, which is good. So I'm curious to see if Byfield just stays on the wing for them.
Mark, your thoughts on that trade?
It's a good trade. Yeah, I think the Kings are doing the right thing. Obviously, Kopitar is getting older, so Dubois is a good player. I think $8.5 million for him is a pretty good number for what he brings. I think they are already a fairly competitive team, and I think they are putting the right pieces together. I don't know if I'm necessarily sold on them being a cup competitor in the next year or two, but I think because of how the West isn't quite as jacked as the East, they could make a run. But I haven't seen a ton from Byfield yet, and I was a huge fan of his when he was drafted.
Yeah.
And he's still very young, obviously. But a lot of their, former group is aging out at this point, so they're gonna have to keep filling in those holes as they form. So it'll be interesting to see what they do over the next few years, but I still don't really put them in that category of like cup contenders as some of the beasts of the East are.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think like there's still some questions. Obviously, like what are they going to do in goal? Is it Korpisalo, or are they going to have to do something different? I think that's a big question that I have with them. I still think I agree. Like, I think the power in the league right now still absolutely resides in the East, but I think like the Kings the last couple of years, I haven't really given them much of a chance in the playoffs. It's like, oh, they're playing and they're going to play Edmonton and they're going to lose. I feel like this year, depending on what the Oilers do, if that was to be a playoff series, I don't know if I would be as so just convinced without really putting too much thought into it that, oh, well, the Kings are not going to win that series.
Yeah. Are they trading the pick? Sorry, I'm trying to...
That's okay. I'm in commercial, so I don't know what's going on.
No, you're good. There was just it looked like they were trading the pick, hence why I got confused.
Yeah, we'll see.
Buffalo doesn't... Oh, they have a minute and 11 left. Never mind.
But I agree. Like, I think the power 100% still lies in the East. I think that the East has some pretty nasty teams still, and the West needs to catch up a little bit. Although I think a healthy Colorado team might still be something to threat. And look, and I think there's the thing I do like about it in the West is I think there's a lot of teams that are definitely on the rise. Like, I look at a team like Seattle, who I think have won every draft they've been in so far. And, you know, you look what they did the last year. So I think they could be a problem going forward because they're going to be able to backfill with really good players on the cheap. I'm fascinated to see what happens.
I'm curious to see what Buffalo does here because they have a really good prospect pool. Do they take a risky pick?
Yeah, they are pretty loaded after the last 10 years.
So, yeah.
Right, yeah. Picks. If there's a team that can swing, I think Buffalo is definitely one of them.
Oh, Buffalo! I already know. Yeah, pretty sure they're going Benson.
He is the top rated at this point. So
if the fact that Buffalo's probably going to get Benson is unfair.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I'm just refreshing Twitter because I'm a little bit behind you.
From Twitter. Yeah, that's unfair.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I know the guy has flaws, but that's still unfair. He went to Buffalo. That prospect pool, man, is fucking loaded.
Yeah. 13. Yep. So Benson goes 13. Most people had him anywhere from 5 to about this range. So he went on the tail end of his projection. That's a good pick for them there. They can take that risk. And his offensive side of his game is well known. It's lethal, among the best in this entire draft.
Nice.
A guy to watch out for also, Andrew Crystal is a guy I'm hoping will fall to the Sharks. Just another name out there. Because we're getting in his range of being taken, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the question now, right? So Benson was kind of the guy we'd kind of circled at this point as being, the guy you'd expect to go, and then hasn't gone. So who is next on the list? Is it Crystal on the list next, where this is the guy that should be going?
No,
I don't think so. I think Crystal is similar to Benson, that he's a very talented small guy. Not anywhere near as good as Benson, I think, in my opinion, but I really don't have consensus players at this point. I think I've seen so many different variations of where players can go that it's just you have the U.S. national team players in Moore and Perreault. You have the guys who were originally looked at as top 5 to 6 a year ago in Yeager and Barlow, but they've dropped a little bit while still being in the top half of the first round in projections. You have Matthew Wood, who was a great freshman in the Hockey East with UConn. He's a big-bodied forward as well. So there's a lot of guys here who can move around, as well as you have the defensemen still in Standing Pelika and Gulyayev from Russia, and also Dragisevich, who's more of a offensive wizard from the back end.
Yeah, there's no real player I'm eyeing here. I'm just the players I wouldn't mind the Sharks drafting at this point is what I'm thinking. Everyone kind of blends in at this point in the draft a little.
So many good players in this draft. That's the one thing. There's so many just A-tier prospects in this draft that it does make it difficult to project at this point. But yeah,
I'll say there isn't anybody that I'd really want the Sharks to trade up for though, anymore. So I'm pretty comfortable at least as things are playing out right now, with them just sitting at 26 and taking the best player that they have available at that point.
Yeah, there's no one that I'm like, please trade up for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we don't have any big droppers.
Yeah. I mean, I do like, what's his face, Moore.
Penguin
So if he
14.
falls to us, I will not be upset. I'm just shocked there's no trades still.
Me too, a little bit. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking at players that I think are like the next Greer type players. I think Quentin Musty is one of those. I think Matthew Wood is kind of in that big competitive and talented mold. I would like them to potentially take a defenseman if the right player is available, but I think Greer's already made moves to kind of bolster our prospect depth in that area over the last few months. So I'm not really as concerned with the defensive position as I was, say, back in January.
Yeah.
Give me a second here.
Also, there was rumors the Sharks might go goalie at 26. I don't think they will, but you never know at this point.
I'm hoping more for 36 with that. If they do go goalie, I hope they wait till the second round. There's a few good ones available this year, but I always get concerned with picking goalies in the draft.
No, for
early
sure.
on. Like even 36 in most years for me would still be too early to pick a goalie. But there are a few names this year being floated around in that range. One of which is going to go to UMass, which I always have a soft spot for. So we'll see. I mean, he's already said they're going to draft a goalie, but that could be anywhere. That could be tomorrow. Anywhere from like the third round.
They don't have two third-round picks, right? I don't. Okay, so
no, I think they have a late third rounder from the Burns trade.
You can take one of those as a goalie, but they don't. Because I also don't really want them using that second 36 pick for a goalie. I feel like you can still get a really good player there. There's Bedard.
So Pittsburgh on the clock, and their pick is
Another
in.
pick.
So
Here we
another
go.
pick without a trade. This is the range where I was starting to think maybe a Carlson trade, but it's going to be such a difficult trade to put together that I don't know. I don't see it happening
then there's
anymore
also the Petrie
today. I
rumor
thought it
that-
might happen leading into the draft, but
And then there's also the Petrie rumor that went out today. Brandon Yager.
yeah.
Brandon Yager. That's a good pick for them.
Oh. Okay.
All right, give me a second. I'm going to step away for a second, so I'm counting on you guys to keep the conversation going.
Sure.
And then when I get back, I'm going to see if I can get Puck Guy on audio from the SAP Center and see how the mood is in the SAP Center. So stay tuned for that. I'll be right back, though.
Okay.
Yeah. Jules, how are you going to feel if Carlson does get traded?
I think I'll be sad because, we gave up a lot to get him. But, I feel like the organization needs it. They need to just rebuild and embrace it. You've traded Burns, you traded Timo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's bittersweet for me because, he just put together an absolutely epic season, and he was probably one of the only reasons to really watch this team last year, if we're being entirely honest. But we're not going to compete in the window that he's going to remain with us. So I'd rather sell high on an asset such as him. And, the right way to rebuild usually is through the draft and via prospects. And the more, most of these draft picks really are lottery tickets and coin flips. So the more chances you have at getting a star, as long as I get the right thing. I don't want this to be a throwaway like Burns kind of was, where we pretty much got nothing.
Yeah, and Greer said he's not going to do that, which gives me a little bit of confidence. Yeah. I don't think a trade is happening during this draft. Now, as I say that, a Carlson trade is going to happen during this draft. But
hey, if it's a reverse jinx,
honestly,
I'm fine with that.
I don't think Carlson trade is going to happen, but you never know. But also, it's not going to be immediate. Like, I don't think this gets done until after free agency. In my opinion, teams are not sure where they're at cap-wise, and it's a giant contract. But yeah, I mean, it would be bittersweet just because he did come off a ridiculous season, but like, I don't think he's repeating it. So,
all right.
Yeah, the way kind of what you just said is what I was like speculating in my preview for the draft. I was thinking it would be great to get a pick in this range due to the talented players that are available in like the 12 to 20 range. And there were a few teams that I kind of thought would push them over the edge and make them a competitor. But I think due to the nature of his cap and how big that trade is going to be and the retention, and it's so hard to put that together on the draft floor. So you're right. Teams are probably going to look and see either what they can sign over the next couple weeks and then make a move. I don't know. Again, this could happen 10 minutes from now. Who knows? The Burns trade, when we got him all those years back, that happened on the draft floor. So,
you never know. And Greer a lot of teams have been calling the Sharks, so you never know.
Yeah.
Honestly, who knows? It might happen in 10 minutes, and then we have really stuff to discuss.
Yeah. What about Couture and Hurdle? Because they're the new ones.
They're not getting traded.
No, I'm saying in terms of how would you feel about that? Because I think those are kind of names that we hadn't heard in rumors, and now suddenly they're popping up.
I would be sad with Couture. Like, Couture's a playoff beast. Like, y'all can give him shit.
Yeah, we got to make the playoffs.
Well, that is true. That is true. But, like, it would be still sad because that dude single-handedly, 2019, he was a fucking incredible man.
Right,
I also like
his
loyalty.
I'm going to try and bring Puck Guy in here. Give me a sec. Bear with me.
All right.
Exciting. But yeah, I would be a little sad with Couture, and I'd be very sad with Hurdle because Greer literally came out and said, like, Hurdle's the only untouchable on this team. So.
Fan favorite type players.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, shoot. You'll have to forgive any weird screen things that happen.
I still can't believe Fantilli went to Columbus.
Yeah, dropped to 3. The buzz was right.
Couture needs to be traded. Yeah, he probably does for the rebuild, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, the thing to keep in mind, though, is you also need some NHL players. Like, you can't just get rid of everyone. And then who are your young players learning from? Right. And Couture, despite some of the issues he's had, I think it's really overrated, the crap he gets on his performance, or exaggerated, I should say. The guy's still playing with nobodies on his line and putting up 20-plus goals and 60-plus points. Like, what else? He's not the kind of guy who's going to dangle through a whole team. He needs some talent around him. And he's just, I don't know. I think he's still doing well. And for what he's getting paid, I don't really think that's a bad contract, personally.
No, yeah. Preds are up right now. Curious to see where they go.
Sorry, I'm fighting with
because they were trying to get into the.
There we go.
Oh, God, AJ.
All right.
And AJ.
And AJ, too. I don't have them on camera here. Give me a second. I just want to make sure that they are in the... Guy, where's Puck Guy? Give me a second here. Oh, I muted him. There we go. Hello, guys. I can hear you. Everyone else can hear him?
I can hear you.
So what's the mood? Okay, give me a second here, guys. Apparently no one can hear you. I gotta mute my stream here. Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna mute my stream and then I will fix it. Technology, folks, it's the greatest.
Also Matthew was selected for the Preds.
All right, there we go. Okay, so I have Puckeye and AJ are sharing a stream here, so if you can hear only one of them, it's because only one of them are talking. All right, guys. So I'll ask again. So what was the mood in the building? Obviously, when the Sharks made their pick.
The mood was, the mood was exciting. They were happy to see, Will Smith. There was definitely a big gasp, whereas AJ just said a moment ago, there was definitely a tremor when Leo Carlsson went to Anaheim. I think hesitation and hopefulness that Adam Fantilli would fall to 4 just to make the pick a little more dramatic. But a great crowd out here at the, a pretty good crowd for a Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. For a draft party this magnitude. I don't think anyone has seen here in San Jose. AJ, your thoughts?
On
anything? What you're today? Will Smith.
I dread the fact that we're going to be inundated with references to Will Smith songs for the next 15 years. I do really like what the Sharks have tried to put together here at the tank. Long time coming, and as far as I'm concerned, but nice to see what's going on. They got Scott Hannon and Dan Boyle out here taking pics with fans. Sharky running around like a lunatic as always. But it's, if anything, it makes you go, God dang it, can't they put this together on a Saturday so everybody can enjoy it? But we're all going to enjoy, I should say, the next 10 years of how all of this shakes out. Will Mitchkov be the next Ovi, or will he be, the next nobody, the Yakupov, right? We'll see how that shakes out. But it's going to be fun to watch over the next 10 years. This is Greer's first real draft. So Judgment Day will happen at some point. But all I can say is keep my player's name at your effing mouth.
Here we go.
These are going to be happening like all year with After Dark, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, of course. Hey, you three have been doing a fantastic job. Just love the reaction to the picks.
Jules have been.
Wow.
I'm just here to press the buttons, man. That's true.
We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Have fun. This has been fun to soak in, because it's been really unique, and like AJ said, it's finally to have something this magnitude. Yeah, it would have been great to have it on a Saturday, but there are a lot of bachelor parties in Nashville, so.
I know. I think it's funny because like the draft is usually on the weekend, so like I've been really having, it's like an afternoon game where it's like you don't want to be like, well, tonight they did this, and like so I've had to fight to be like, well, this weekend's gone so far. It's gone really. It's like Wednesday and it's not even the weekend.
Right. Hey, yo, in the chat, AJ so shocked today, speechless. Yeah, the first time ever. I know.
All right. So yes, I mean it's a good time though. Everyone seems to be having a good time there.
Yeah, it's a blast. You can take a picture, the Shark head holding a jersey with cutouts of Mike Greer and David Quinn standing next to you. You had a shot with the banner, with the Marlowe banner. Take part in human billiards.
Mm-hmm.
What else do they have? Oh, the shark instead of the bull riding machine, it's a shark instead. We saw Sharky last about 15 seconds on there. And the food trucks, the burger really good. I look forward to I don't know, maybe nachos if I'm going to stay here till pick 26. We'll see.
Will Smith being picked, was it like generally, like obviously on here, obviously pretty positive reaction in the chat. How was the reaction in the building for Will Smith being the Sharks pick?
I think it was kind of expected. So yeah, I was like, yeah, all right, we can do this. We're totally on board with it. Freaking Columbus, if they had only taken Will Smith, make it more. I'm kidding. But yeah, I think there's definitely good vibes on here. Rusanowski got on to talk about the pick and everything and such, and definitely looking like a good pick. I would assume he'll be at the prospect scrimmage next week.
He is.
Yeah, so that'd be awesome to see next Thursday. I believe we are planning to do an after dark from Texas Arena that night, so that'll be awesome. All around a good vibe, but I think it's kind of dissipated now that the Sharks went number 4, and looking forward to see 26, or like you three have mentioned, is somebody on the move? Is Couture Hurdle for some odd reason moving? We heard maybe Kakinen might be going to Pittsburgh, of all things, because
For Petrie.
For Petrie, what?
There was Shane put out an article, I don't remember, but it was like Jeff Petrie is now a good target, or it was Merrick was talking about it. Jeff Petrie is now a target for San Jose, or not a target, but a salary dump, because we now have all the cap space, apparently.
Apparently, I mean, until we have to spend, keep 40% of Erik Karlsson to send him to, I don't know, Toronto or Seattle. I don't know.
Toronto.
The chat is asking, did you buy a hat?
I did not buy a hat. I was a little reluctant to do so because it had the wrong striping. Apparently, though, they got the right striping on Will Smith's hat, so we'll see. I don't know if I want a thing that's glued on like the Stanley Cup champion hat, but
all right. Wow.
All right. Great
awesome.
to chat with you guys.
Yeah,
keep up the great work.
We will do our best. We've got some time to go, I think.
I was hoping I can help you guys out just a little bit, take a breather. Need to use a restroom or anything like that. I mean, at this point,
Awesome. So. Well, you guys continue to enjoy the draft party. If you decide to stick around until pick 26, I'd be curious to get the reaction from that pick at some point. Not tonight, but like if we can talk after, and if you guys are around, I'd be curious to see what the vibe in the building is when pick 26 happens. So,
it's good.
Enjoy the evening, and we will definitely catch up with you guys sometime soon.
Absolutely. Have fun, everyone. Take care.
See you, Buckeye. Buckeye.
Your stream. Bye.
Take care, guys. All right. Now I can mute that. Okay. Now I can listen to the draft again.
So Calgary took Samuel Honzek. Yeah.
Are we surprised?
A little bit off the board.
A little
but
off the board, but
terribly.
not terribly. Yeah.
Yeah, not terribly. But not,
yeah.
Preds took Matthew Wood. Yeah.
All right.
Who's up next after Calgary? Detroit is up again.
Ooh. It's always fascinating when a team has like multiple picks like in the same range, because then like it's like, oh well, this was because like we thought their first pick was a little bit of a reach, and then if you make an okay pick with your next pick, it kind of balances it out. I think like me and Mark last year when we did the for the Sharks, like when we did the draft show, we were kind of like, we liked the players but not the order. I think was our takeaway last year.
Yeah.
I forget the name. Who was it that I really wanted the Sharks to take with our first pick? And again, in the end, it looks like Greer made the right moves. But it was Lambert. I remember really wanting Lambert. But it looks like Beestead was a great pick where we got him, and Lund and Havilid look like decent picks as well. And now there's some guys in that area that would have been absolute steals possibly, and could have made it even look better. But I think the value that we got for the number 11 was really good. And I don't think the players that were really available in that 11 range that I wanted the Sharks to take have really shown that they're extraordinary. Like Lekaramaki, he's good still, don't get me wrong, but he didn't have like a crazy season. It was really Minchikov that I wanted to drop to 11, and he's looking like an absolute steal at 10 for Anaheim. So, yeah, I think...
I'm fascinated to look back.
I think Greer did a good job last year.
I'm fascinated to look back at the especially like the COVID draft specifically, to see how those pan out. So I think that's going to be fascinating.
Timmy Stutz.
Because I just think obviously like some players didn't play at all. Like some players, lost development time. So I'm really curious to see how those drafts pan out going forward with the downtime and not playing for, it's like some leagues just didn't play, right? And the right call probably at the time, but it's going to be fascinating to go back and see those drafts and see how some of those players that were like super high ranked to actually pan out based on lost development time.
No, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Who is available? Oliver Moore hasn't gone yet. Curious to see when he'll go.
All right, we are in commercial here. Yeah, it's weird. Like, I know, like, and Puck Guy kind of touched it. We kind of touched on it too. Like, obviously, a lot of trade rumors around the Sharks. I think it's just like I said, I think it's a case of teams kind of just like, you know, buzzards circling a carcass a little bit, where it's like, hey, we'll take this guy and we'll take that guy, and but like, I was kind of surprised at some of the names that have come up. Like, I'm surprised Hurdle's name would come up after we just extended him. Although, I will say that it was a weird play to extend him and then hire a general manager after that. I don't know. Where are you guys at on some of that?
Yeah, we chatted a tiny bit about it when you had stepped off, but I think I'm surprised and I'm not surprised. Again, these are the desirable players from the Sharks roster. But I was saying, like, you need to keep some NHL level players. I mean, you look at our roster and it looks very much like an AHL team. So Hurdle, Couture, I think they're both producing. They're both good players. And while they do get paid a decent amount, like, they fit the mold of players you'd want to, like, prepare your next wave of talent.
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't trade everyone and have no veterans on your team. And, like, I would not be upset if Will Smith learns from, like, a guy like Tomas Hertl, Logan Couture. Like, I think we need to keep some of our players, because, like, lovingly put, Will Smith cannot just jump in and run the show by himself.
Right, yeah.
With, like, no veteran support. So, like, yes, trade Carlson, but if Couture and Hertl are not asking to have to rush to trade them.
Right. I think that's the thing. I think that would be, like, to me, is like, that's the question, right? Is like, are there more people trying to get off the ship than we think? Because like I think a concerning trend, like if you look at the Barracuda, like we saw Andrew Agozzino get traded, and then Nick Nolenberger came out and said that he had requested a trade at the end of the season, and so, like, I don't know, man, like it makes me concerned a little bit that and I don't know Andrew Agozzino's reasons for wanting to leave, right? But it's like, if you look at like the Barracuda, for example, who they got a brand new building, brand new pretty much everything, and then you have kind of like it. I'm not sure which veterans they're even bringing back at this point. And if, like, I think Erik Karlsson, I get it, he wants to play on a contender, but I think if we start seeing like a lot more people being like, I want out, like if Couture and Hertl said, like, all of a sudden said they wanted out, like, I'm super concerned about what's going on in the organization that all these guys want out.
Also, real quick, the Jim Neal has won the GM of the Year award, according to Twitter, or Elliot Friedman.
That's fair.
So Dallas, that's, yeah, very fair. Was it because of his 2017 draft class? Yeah. I'm really waiting for a trade here.
Yeah, we need a trade. We need to spice this up.
Something to shake it
up. I was
up.
going to say, spice this up a bit.
Just bring back Joe Thornton. We'll have all the veterans we need. They could do that.
You know, have Joe Thornton play with, like, Eklund for...
I mean, I love me some Joe Thornton, but Joe Thornton is 43 years old.
Yeah.
Like, there just comes a time. There just comes, like, I know it's being said in jest, obviously. Like, I'm not trying to, like, be like, oh my god, these people in the chat, so dumb. No, I know it's in jest, but no, please don't. Like, I love Jumbo, but there comes a time.
No, yeah, I mean, hopefully they can get him in the organization as just like an advisor or something, or development, because it's really cool that they got Patrick Marleau on board.
Yeah, obviously, like Patrick Marleau, I think that's a good thing. I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh my god, so much nepotism. It's like this is what happens. Like when players try to get into management, they always get these random title roles. Like this is fine to me. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's just what happens.
Also,
the somewhat awkward thing is when you have someone like Nabby who's been in the franchise for a while, and we're not really doing so well in the goalie department over the last time that he's been here. So at what point do you possibly cut ties with one of the franchise loved people like Nabby and go a different direction? Even Greer obviously has ties to him. They're on the team at the same time. So I'm just curious, when you do bring back a lot of these other franchise icons, what kind of leash do they have in terms of actually doing that?
You are definitely preaching from the Ian Quire book on that one, because I've had questions about Nabokov for a while now, and I think that's the problem, right? When you look at some situations like that where it's you're thinking, is Nabokov the right guy for the job? And then you say, okay, we're adding more Sharks to the front office, yay! But I think if you're asking a question, Nabokov is fair, because I'm definitely asking them too. But for a guy like Marleau to who just retired to come in with that kind of a role, it doesn't really bother me. Because again, like I said, that is what players that get into management generally do. They get these cushy little whatever jobs, and then that's that. Molasses.
Cheers.
Not that this is a rumor, but Curtis Pashelka tweeted about 5 minutes ago that he wouldn't be surprised if the Sharks trade up from number 26. I don't know if that's because he's there. Yeah, that's what I wasn't sure of. I'm not sure if he's at the draft and he's seeing conversations.
Something happening? Question mark?
So Detroit's making their second pick.
Oh, they took Axel. Oh, that's unfair with
and in Palika.
Cider.
It's interesting. It's another defenseman for their crop. I mean, they are pretty jacked in that department.
They also have Edvinsson.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They have Edvinsson as well. So that's a dangerous trio.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice pick.
Yeah. And at 17, that's pretty good, too. Some people had him top 10. So that's a pretty good pick for them.
I've loved what Detroit has done at the top of the draft. It's the bottom where I have questions, but again,
their
first round
blue line is going to be insane.
Yep, it's not fair.
And that's the thing. That's why I'm always good with picking some of the same position, because you also just never know who's going to actually develop and become that player. Just because you have two prospects that are defensemen, and even though they look like top talents, you never know. Players just don't pan out sometimes, so there's no reason not to pick the best player available at a position just because you have depth there.
So here's
in the chat, sorry, Aaron Jack saying Vegas sure turned Aiden Hill. We'll see. I mean, look at I'm not anti Aiden Hill by any stretch of the imagination, but I think now we're gonna find out if Aiden Hill's legit, or if he's the next Matt Murray, right? Guy who wins a cup and then completely falls off a cliff, right? I like Aiden Hill. I hope he does well. There's this thing out here where people think I hate Aiden Hill. I don't. I just think that with the information the Sharks had at the time, that Aiden Hill was the obvious guy out. Now has that worked out for the Sharks particularly well? No, clearly not. But hindsight's a hell of a drug in this situation too.
We have a little break here. I'll be right back.
Yeah. I understand. I mean, that's what I think. I don't know. Mark, what's your thoughts with Aiden Hill?
So I think there's two different arguments, and I've kind of been on the opposing side of, I feel like, everyone on this in this group pretty much on Teal Town USA. And it comes down to this. I don't actually think Hill was a great goalie, but I think how bad he was exaggerated. And mostly what pisses me off is not that we traded him, it's just the dog crap return that we got. Listen, I am a big person on asset management, and yes, we had Reimer, who now obviously is gone, so we're losing him for nothing. And then we had Kakkonen. So he looks like the third man out there. However, if your return is only going to be a 4th round pick 2 years from now, and a team like Vegas in the moment, who was desperate. Like, they were down to basically zero goalies due to injuries. So they make that trade for Hill, and they're a division rival. And while I don't really care so much about the rivalry because of how bad we are, I just personally would have liked a better return. If it had even been like, let's say, next year's second round pick, which would likely be in the 60s because Vegas is a good team, I probably wouldn't have said a single word complaining about it. But it was just like, it felt like a throwaway. And I actually thought Hill was pretty good when he wasn't injured. I mean, a .909 save percentage the year with before he got traded with the Sharks would be actually one of the best performances we've had in the last like 6 or 7 years. So I just felt that, not that Hill was good, not that he was necessarily the future of our franchise. It was more a matter of, I thought it was really poor.
Yeah, I think, and I look at, I 100%, like, I can 100% respect that argument for sure. And I have very little in ways of a rebuttal for sure. Yeah, and look at, obviously, people in the chat saying like Vegas probably would have won with any goalie in net. I don't know if that's the case with any goalie, although they did start with Laurent Brossoit, and who as a goalie I don't hold in very high regard, who was playing fine for them. Look, sometimes goalies just get hot at the right time too. And again, that's not a shot at Adin Hill. I hope Adin Hill has a long, fantastic career.
Yeah. And I think to your point also is like now the argument becomes the opposite. I think some team's going to overpay him.
Vegas is going to
just because of one hot stretch. Yeah, and we've seen this in the past with other goalies. Like even if when you look at Devin Dubnyk, he got a big payday based on 1 or 2 seasons and a bounce back back in the day. That was with the Wild, right? Back when he had his really good seasons. I forget if it was with them or if it was with Edmonton, who he had his good seasons with. But you look at these goalies, they're just so tricky. And as a GM, I would never pay a goalie unless they were absolutely like a star like Shesterkin maybe or Sorokin, anything above, say, like $4.5 million. Because it's way too much of a risk unless you're doing it for like 2 or 3 years. Because once in that range, you can stomach if a goalie kind of sours. But if you're doing 5, 6, 7 years for a goalie above $5.5 million, they better be a top 3-4 goalie in the NHL.
100%. Yeah, like he hadn't played at all except when he got injured. I mean, that's true. Like and you did trade him off a shutout, but I can show you lots of bad goalies with shutouts. I don't know. I always feel like I have to defend. Like I don't dislike Adin Hill. I just think the information we had at the time, like I understand why the Sharks did it. And James Reimer was a stopgap guy. Like James Reimer, they didn't keep James Reimer because he was the future. He was just the stopgap guy. He was always going to be here for a good time, not for a long time. But unfortunately for the Sharks, I think they wanted Kaapo Kähkönen to take the net from him, and he didn't. And that's unfortunate. Now it'll be interesting to see with Mackenzie Blackwood coming in, obviously extension pending, who ends up taking the net. Or do they have to do something different?
Jets on the
goaltending position will be interesting this year. I mean, we got Blackwood now in, and who knows what happens with Kähkönen, and none of our proprospects are ready for NHL duty yet. So there's still to be another move with the Sharks.
I mean the Barracuda have like 17 goalies.
Yeah. Aaron Dell, come back. No, yeah. I mean, the Sharks also don't have this like an A goalie. Like McNamee is not that. Bopit might be that. Krona, whatever. I'm not sold on him, but yeah.
I don't love, like, I'm a big junior hockey guy, but I don't love CHL
Their goalies are
right
not
now.
good. Yeah. I want them from Europe or from college. I don't want goalies from Canadian junior leagues.
Yeah.
Colby Barlow goes number 18.
So Oliver Moore is just falling at this point.
Perreault is still available as well. So both of the U.S. national team development team players
this
available.
Colby Barlow kid looks like he's like a lot older than he is. Oh, he's good though. They're showing his highlights and he's good.
He reminds me. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of Aaron Ekblad. Where it's like, birth certificate, please.
Yeah, no, secretly Aaron Ekblad is
Aaron Ekblad's secretly 40.
Left winger. Nice.
Yeah, he's a finisher, Barlow. He's probably one of the higher end goal scorers of the draft. I think there's some questions about his like overall skill level, but I mean, he's a pretty good finisher. I think he scored 40-something goals in the junior leagues this year. So pretty good size too, 6'1", 195.
Yeah, he's going to be good for the... They also have Lambert, and they're also probably entering a rebuild, and I think this is a good way to start your rebuild.
Just looking, is he one of the first OHL players drafted this year? Because I know it's a heavy WHL year. I'm trying to see if anyone else who's been drafted has been from the OHL.
I believe he is the first.
I think he's the first.
Yeah, he's the first.
Yeah. Interesting.
Left winger, 6 foot.
Hmm.
No, that's not right. But yeah. Guys to watch right now, probably like more. Sale is still up. Perot, Brindley, Crystal, Musty. There's a lot of guys still available that are really good.
Yeah, I had just tweeted out a little while ago that the names I really like are Musty, Perot, Gulyayev, and Stenberg. So hopefully one of those guys is available at 26. But I think also at 26 is where we might start seeing like names that we 100% thought, oh, that guy might be a second rounder, or someone a little bit more off the board. It always gets a little bit trickier once you get to this point in the draft.
Do you guys think Sharks trade up at this point for any of these guys?
I don't know. I feel like it might be overpayment to move up at this point for 7 picks, but again, if Greer loves somebody,
the only way I think if the Sharks are moving up, it's because they've made a Carlson deal at that point,
for
right?
sure. Yeah.
I could see, I think someone said in the chat too, I could see a situation where the Sharks move up to 20 in a Carlson trade, right? Because Seattle is a potential that
Seattle's a good
Seattle
fit.
seems like a good fit.
Also, the Hawks here are getting Perot. I honestly think Hawks are going to go Crystal here because Bedard loves that guy, and they're going to try to please Bedard, is my assumption. So.
Yeah, he's also another guy who's racking up stats.
So I wouldn't bet on the Hawks taking Perot or more. I would say they go Crystal. But that's just my thought because I heard Bedard talking about him exotically. We should trade up for Perot.
Good. I mean, we'll see.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
Maybe Seattle.
Yeah, I don't know. I just look at what is what's coming up in a Seattle to me would be an interesting place where the Sharks might be able to make a move. And I just, again, because obviously the specter of an Erik Karlsson trade is obviously going to hang over the whole weekend, and pretty much hang over the whole season until it's done.
Yeah, thing about Perot, he racked up stats playing with Leonard and Smith this past year. The only thing about him is his skating isn't the best, and I always tend to hesitate with guys who have skating as a weakness. I know you can develop it, you can teach it to some degree, but in the modern NHL, I just feel like skating is so important. So there are definitely some other players that I think I would take over him, but I do there's definitely that allure there of obviously the performance.
And I think the Sharks historically have been kind of burned by being we can teach you how to skate, because I feel like they used to make a lot of picks, not in super recent memory, but but there was a lot of picks where it was oh yeah, you can't skate, but we can teach them.
Yeah, I think we used all of our good luck on Jonathan Chichu with guys who can't skate.
Birch saying he predicts EK65 will be in the open night roster. I mean, that that wouldn't surprise me either. I think obviously I think the Sharks are motivated to get something done. I think Erik Karlsson's motivated to get something done. But yeah, I mean, look at. Again, that's a big. There's a lot of moving pieces on that. There's a lot of money on that deal. So I mean, would I be surprised if Erik Karlsson's on the Sharks to start season? No, not at all. But I could,
Also, Greer should not rush to get this done. You want to get a good.
Yeah, Greer has to get this right.
This can't end up being Brent Burns. Lovingly put I was optimistic when the Brent Burns trades first happened. But then after watching, I was no. Chicago here, pick is in. I'm calling Andrew Crystal here.
Okay.
Sorry, I
That's
genuinely
fine.
have no
That's fine. I dig it.
Twitter give it away first, or will the broadcast give it away first? No, Oliver Moore.
Oliver Moore. Oh, there you go. Kevin in the chat, just saying skating comes down to a lot of training. Yeah, but I think I think you need to have a good foundation when you're drafted. It's not an issue of like, can players get better at skating? 100% they can get better at skating after they're drafted. But if it's a weakness, that makes me more nervous. Like, I would want to draft guys. Just me personally, skating would be high on my list of potential.
Skating, yeah.
Yeah, I'd much rather draft someone who has like a weaker shot, for example, than someone who has weak skating. Because I feel like skating, a lot of it comes from your style and like how you grew up learning to skate, as well as some natural abilities in there. And I don't necessarily think repetition always fixes skating. Whereas with a shot, I feel like you can improve your shot a lot through repetition and specific coaching.
Yeah, I mean, the Sharks, the previous regime seemed with defenders always to pick really good skaters out most of the time with defensemen. So I did appreciate that. I know like there were some iffy decisions there. But I'd rather have a guy that can like skate well than that can like, not shoot so well. Because like a shot can be taught, a skate can't really be taught.
Yeah. Perfect example too of that is Cale Makar, which I saw firsthand because he came into college. Great skater, obviously. That was never going to change. Like, he's one of the best skaters you'll ever see. But his shot was actually his weakness coming to college. He had a horrible one-timer, and his shot from the point wasn't the best. And then he worked on it his first year, and by the second season, he was like a different player. And that's where he really became extremely dominant in the college game. And then you look at him now, and you would never even guess that his shot was considered somewhat of a weakness. Like, he just rifles these shots from the point, top corner, whether it's via a wrister or a one-timer, and it just looks like a talent that he started with his life with. It's that good, but it was something that he had to actually work on.
I think if you want to look at a player who like I think is a great example of had all the tools, but skating was definitely a question mark, Dylan Strome.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Like I love Dylan Strome, but like skating was definitely a question mark, and I think it, again, I think he's definitely worked on his skating, but all the tools don't matter if you can't skate at an NHL level.
Do you guys think a trade's going to happen in this first round? Besides, like, not counting the Sharks chat, you could also join in. Do you guys think a trade's going to happen? Because it doesn't.
I think one will happen. Yes, I think one trade is going to.
There has to
be one trade, right? I can't imagine a first round without one team.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I think it's hard though because you have such a grouping of like A-tier guys that, if you're a team that's, I think if you're a team, maybe you're worried about trading back and still be able to get the guy you want. I think that's a concern. But yeah, trades make the day better.
This draft has been interesting with like kind of the way players have gone. But not as interesting as last year's draft where you have like just chaos at the beginning with like 8 different trades. Gary Bettman coming up. We have a trade to announce. Not right now, but I'm just saying.
Oh,
no, sorry.
For a second. I was like, because mine is
here we go.
Behind. I was like, okay, here we go. Finally.
Yeah. So
Seattle's on the clock.
I want to put them. Who can they end up with right now?
So many good players still on the board, man. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of guys. Yeah.
This is going to be. I am going to be happy. Like, regardless, I think this might be the happiest I'll ever leave day one of a draft for the Sharks.
Were you guys a fan of the Ozzy Weissblatt pick in 2020?
Not super.
I figured, but I just wanted to confirm.
I love Ozzy Weissblatt. I mean, he was a late first too, so.
Would you rather have them taken Bordeleau or Robbins at that spot? In hindsight?
Bordeleau, yes. Bordeleau, I think I would have been a little bit more okay with. But in all honesty, that was a very tricky, tricky draft, right? So, yeah, I think that Weissblatt pick is going to end up being what could be considered somewhat of a bust. I still think he could carve out
I think there's an NHL player there. Like from watching him this year, like I think there's definitely a toolbox. I just don't think like when you look at first round. I think, and I again, this is why I always stress like the number that Weisblatt was taken at, because I think it kind of skews this, because everyone thinks first round pick, but like this is basically a second.
Yeah, and when you look at the odds of getting, like, the goal is really just to get an NHL player, right? If you get an NHL player at any pick after like the top 20, you've won that pick. Like it's the right move, because the odds of actually getting an NHLer, even in like the 20s, I think is like maybe 25%. So if he carves out an NHL career on, say, the third or fourth line, I think that's a win. At the third, was it 31st overall that pick was, or was it 32?
No, it's 31st. Seattle wasn't involved then, so I think it was 31st.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Good point. So, you know, if he does carve out that NHL career, I think he's got the drive to do it, and he definitely has some of the skills. Yeah, you'll get 0
Can I also just say something?
Go ahead.
Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead, Ian.
No, I was just going to say, like, from Weisblatt, what I see with Weisblatt is I think, like, he's going to be a guy who's going to be, like, your third-line energy annoying ass to play against, like super annoying to play against, third line energy
Josh
guy
who
can kind of, you know, he's going to be able to chip in offense. I don't know how much offense he's going to be able to chip in at an NHL level, but I think he's going to be just absolutely a pain in the ass to play against.
Yeah, I think Josh Anderson is like the high ceiling for him. You know what I mean? Because he can. Josh Anderson is kind of like the energy guy. Like, he scores a lot of goals, and that's probably offensive to Josh Anderson. But that's kind of the guy I kind of, you know, if we can get a Josh Anderson out of Aussie, I'm not upset.
Edward Sale. I think I'm not sure it's actually how his last name's pronounced. Sale or Saleh, I'm not sure. He's from Czech, but he goes 20th to Seattle.
Honestly, that's pretty good for them.
That's a nice pick.
Yeah, he was projected in like the 15 range, I'd say, so that's a pretty good
Seattle
pick.
Stop Winning Drafts challenge.
Also, every player with a higher, like, under 18 points per game and with this league that Will Smith was in, there's only one, Jack Hughes. That's it. So, like, y'all, we need to be happy about this pick.
Yeah, I'm seeing, so just a quick scan here, I'm seeing as high as, some people had him as high as 11 down to 25. So it's not that's a nice, it's a nice pick. This way, okay, so if Lacey in the chat to make sure, keeping us honest, it's Shala.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is it?
Shala?
Sorry, I missed that. What was it?
Yeah.
Shala. Okay.
What league is he in?
Czech.
Okay, got you.
Czech league, the Czech Pro League.
Good pick for Seattle. They're drafting.
Stop Winning Draft challenges. That's all I have to say about Seattle.
I'm Gabe Pro still on the board. At this point, the Sharks shouldn't trade up because, like, if he's there, and you snag him up, and it's counted as a steal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Quentin Musty. That's the name I'm really liking. Quentin Musty.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him. Thank you. I thought he was already taken.
Big guy, 6'2", 200 pounds. Really good year in the OHL. I think he's a guy that I would love to fall.
Mark, is there any defensemen that you want them?
Yeah, so the thing is, I'm a little bit, I don't know. Years ago, I would have loved Dragicevic, but after the failed experiment with Merkley, I'm kind of somewhat hesitant with guys who are pure offense. I do like Radek Bonk's son, Oliver Bonk, but he's somewhat limited on the offensive side, so it's kind of like the opposite side of the spectrum. But he is with London in the OHL, and they're pretty good at churning out good players. So if we're going defense, now that all the rest of the guys that I really liked are kind of off the board, those are the two names I'd be looking at. But I still think at this point, now that Willander went earlier, I really want us to go another forward, I think. Oh, I forgot Gulyayev. Sorry, Gulyayev.
Because my thought, because I just don't know if they can get they need an elite. So that's the thing with the elite demon, and I know they need one. I feel like that's going to be a next year's draft. You know what I mean? Because I don't think there's any this year for them. They might snag some in the later rounds, but like.
And as we said earlier, like, I feel better having gotten Makhamedulin from the Devils and Thrun also, and we still have Havilid and LaRock in the system. So it's not necessarily on the blue chip level, but we have a lot of that, I think, second pairing projectable defensemen. So if there's a guy like a Musty available, Even a Perot at 26, I think
Combined
I'd be pretty
pro-
happy.
Michael
with that.
Morales in the chat just reminding that Merkley also played for London, as well as 2 other junior teams.
Oh yeah.
He played for the
Pain.
Merkley played for the entire OHL.
That's very.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I'm trying to see if.
I mean, the Sharks have like as it stands right now, and even as the picks continue to come in, like the Sharks, I love this for the Sharks. I think they have a lot of great options here.
Dude, I'm so
Yeah,
happy they got this
100%
other
agree.
first pick, and the Devils seem to be giving us another first pick next year. So I'm all
Yeah,
for
they're
it,
built-
man.
they're boosting
I'm
their
rooting
team
for
even
the
more.
Devils this year. Go Devils! Let's do After Darks after Devils. Playoff.
They'd be the team to watch. What did you guys think of the Timo Meyer extension? Since we are on the Devils there.
It's a good
I liked
number
it.
for him, I think.
I
And for the
also
Devils.
saw somewhere that
Yeah.
the Sharks were willing to offer him 9.25, and I saw that and was like, no, because we're not competitive at the moment. That's something you do for winning. So I'm not mad about it. Good for him. And New Jersey looks like a powerhouse.
They're going to be good for a long time. Yeah. If they I mean, they already won the first round this past year, so they've got that going for them. They won a playoff series with that young team. They have all the pieces.
Yeah.
They just need to fill in the depth, and I think they're going to be a good team and probably solve the goaltending position.
No, yeah, for sure.
Minnesota pick in, so another pick without a trade.
So I just saw the Red Wings
Sharks.
in the second round just have 3 picks back to back. I just wanted to point that out. They have 41 to 43 in the second round. So look for that to be a trade.
Could be.
Yeah, pair 2 of
Maybe.
those
Yeah.
to move up.
Sorry, I
maybe.
just wanted to point that out because I did not know that.
I mean, it's in the second round, so at least if they do a Boston, no one will be watching.
And it's also not the
No.
same caliber.
They could have gotten Thomas Chabot, Barzell, and like
Kyle Connor.
Kyle Connor. Was that it?
Yeah, that's what I would have done. I mean,
No
how do you
one
afford to keep
wants
all those guys at the end of the day? I don't know, but like,
Cap
it's a
was
nice problem to have.
The Bruins have been historically great at getting
That's
good
true.
cap
That is
numbers
true.
from their players. If you look back, so I feel like they might have worked that magic to make it happen. Because you look at some of
Oh.
the team-friendly deals the guys they've had have been
Sorry,
on.
this is just off the board a little for
Let's see
me.
what we got.
Charlie Schrammel.
Who do we got?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, okay. He was a guy who was originally projected to go a lot higher, but then had a pretty meh year. So yeah, his first year with Wisconsin, he was not producing. But he was a guy. I think if you looked at this early projections last summer, he was actually listed as like a
Yeah,
top
and
10
then
guy.
dipped. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Elite Prospects has him at
Yeah.
47. And
Yeah, that's.
boop, 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 boop.
Bill Guerin apparently thanked Tootsie before making the
He did.
round 1 selection.
He most certainly did. And future considerations had him at 63.
Yeah, Hockey News had him at 39.
Yeah, can no one else just leave Pro on the board? That'd be fine.
Yeah, just.
He's got an NHL body, that's for sure. 6'3", 222 pounds. Jesus.
It's interesting. I don't know. The Wild are such a interesting team.
I feel like they're always just kind of hovering in the same
meh
range.
Minnesota Wild.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
Met.
I'm curious to see though, because I think this year's the last year of the. I think this is the last year that they're gonna have like the really nasty dead cap on them. So it'll be interesting to see what they do going forward.
Cap friendly Wild. I'm just curious of what their salary cap looks like this year. Oh yeah, their buyouts are 7 million for Suter.
Right?
Almost.
Yeah. The
Oh
14
no,
million
and
of
then it
dead cap.
continues 7 million. So in 2025, 26, that's when it goes down. But for these next 2 years, it's 7 million for both of them. That's rough, man. That's like 14 million in cap.
A bold move. I mean, I'll give Bill Guerin credit. Like, bold move.
I mean, luckily they don't have any like actual RFAs that need signing.
We get upset
I
with like
know.
3 million in dead cap.
14 million.
They have 14 million in
Hey,
dead cap
I mean,
for
after
2 years while
Carlson,
being a
We could end
time-
up there.
No.
No, Greer. I believe in Greer. He said they're not
No,
going to
I
do
know,
the 50%
but like
thing.
we have like watch Kevin. I'm curious. Does Kevin LeBanc get traded in this draft?
I don't think so. I would like for him to get traded, but I don't.
He's the
think
guy
he
to me
does.
that I just think a new change of scenery would do him a world of good.
Yeah. Talk about a guy with tons of skill that just didn't put it like all together. Now, obviously, he was taken in whatever round, like
round,
the
I
think?
7th round or the 6th round. So, yeah. So I'm 100% cool
Oh, yeah.
with what he turned into. But the dude has so much talent. It just bothers me. His shot, his skills. He should be like a 30-30 guy. He should not be a guy who's like in and out of the lineup.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. He's Lacey. He'll be traded by July 1st.
I think
so?
they would like to get. I think both sides. That's another situation where I think both sides would just like the split.
Only 1 year left at 4.7. So, I mean, I think a team should be willing to take that risk for 1 year. Maybe a team that's like the bubble, the playoffs. I agree with you 100%. I think he needs to move for both situations. The Sharks will benefit, he'll benefit, and the team getting him might benefit. So I think it
Real
makes
quick,
sense.
the league Will Smith is from. He had 121 games played, 82 goals, 109 assists, 191 points.
Insanity.
Yeah, I think it's like third all time
It's
amongst
ridiculously
players.
good.
Yeah.
Like I haven't been this excited for a prospect since Eklund, probably.
Yeah, like any other year, people would be gushing over Will Smith at number 1. Honestly, like he's just an absolutely fascinating player. It's just that this year the top 5 are all fascinating.
Can't wait for
players.
LeBanc to lead his next team to the cup. Oh, Chester, you cynical prick. Love you, buddy.
Wild fans are not sure how they feel.
If I'm a Wild fan, I'm pretty annoyed.
Flyers pick is in.
There's going to be a lot of gems sliding into round 2. Oh, 100% from Twitter. Yeah, 100%. I'm so happy with the Smith pick though. Like that's
me too.
I just can't wait to watch him.
Oh,
I can't wait to
also
watch
the
him
prospect
play.
scrimmage is streamed.
Yes.
I think. Oh no, that's the link to the tickets. I mean, never mind.
I'm sure they'll stream it. They streamed it last year. I think they streamed the last 2. So yeah.
The last
really
2 or
hope-
3 years it's just the quality has been slowly getting better
Oliver,
each time.
Oh, that's the demon I wanted them to take in the second round. Bonk was hoping.
Bonk. Yeah. Yeah. I think this is a fairly safe pick. I mean, this dude's got an NHL future for
He's a
sure.
very-
It's just a matter of
Yeah,
how
it's
high.
very like you're gonna make it to the NHL. Maybe not like an elite defenseman, but you're gonna be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I dig it.
Yep.
Yeah.
What,
Is
4
this
more?
one going quicker than last year's? Because it feels like it is.
2.5 hours.
It's been 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we're on
it's
track.
Probably on track. Yeah.
The Columbus fans reacting to Adam Fantilli is so fun.
Oh man, screw those
I'm
guys.
gonna send this in the chat. They are living. That's a steal and a half. Oh, is he from hometown kid? Oh, that might be why they drafted Charlie Strawmel. I think he's from Minnesota originally, so it's like a hometown kid coming back.
You don't do that in the first. That's what your 7th round picks are for. I mean, obviously he's not going to go in the 7th round, but like that's when you can make your Reese Lawback picks.
They did that with Lawback, right?
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
Lawback.
That's what the 7th round's for. You don't make happy hometown picks in the first round.
So Gabe Perreault might just fall into our laps.
He might.
Flyers.
I'm excited.
There's 3 more picks. The only team I'm concerned for taking Perreault is Blues. Actually, all 3 of these teams I have high concerns for. It's Rangers.
Anaheim
Blues.
fans are pissed about Carlson. I mean, I get it. I get it. Like, I understand, because I think Fantilli was definitely the guy there. But he's like I said, he's gonna be a problem. I think I think once the sting wears off, I think once they realize what they're gonna get in Leo Carlson, I think they're gonna love the player.
Dude, the upside to Carlson is insanity.
Yeah.
Like his floor is high, but his ceiling is ridiculously high.
Yeah.
So like, don't be too upset. Fantilli, again, has a high floor, high ceiling, but like all of the players in the top 5 kind of do.
Yeah. I think like once they see what they're getting in Leo Carlson, I think the pain will go away. But I in the moment, like if I was in their shoes, I would have been livid too. So I get it.
I'm curious to hear Greer's comments after the draft, because I'm always curious about those, because I feel like it says a lot about what they're planning day 2.
Yeah.
But honestly, no trades. How?
Again, I think that it's a situation where if you're a team looking to trade back, you're worried that your guy's not going to be there because there's really, like, this draft's been kind of all over the place as far as like rankings and stuff go. So I think if you're a team looking to trade back, you're worried that the guy you want won't be there when you trade back. So you better just take him with the pick you have. That's
valid. That's really valid. Quentin Musty is still on the board, so Perreault and Musty are still there.
Yeah, so I just there's 5 names I'm watching right now because the Sharks are gonna have a chance at one of them. Musty, Cristal, Gulyayev, Nato, and Perreault. And Nato, who I haven't really mentioned yet, tore up the BCHL, which is like kind of a more respected league than it was like 10 years ago. But he's another guy that's very talented offensively. That I think because he's a bit underrated. Mm-hmm. But the Sharks are going to have a chance at getting one of these really talented players. But I still think Musty or Gulyayev are the 2 that I would like most.
I agree. Yeah, I like Musty a lot. I really like Crystal. I'm probably too high on Crystal. But like, I just believe in giving small guys because we've seen like them just start falling.
Modern NHL works for them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on board with that. New York is picking here. Curious who they go with.
Islanders?
Saw Ryan Close sitting at their table.
Oh, I love Ryan Clowe.
Yeah,
Ryan Close just beat everyone up. It was great.
Always a soft spot for him.
Yeah. Pick is in.
Oh, there we go.
Any thoughts on who they go with?
Your guess is as good as mine at this point. There's so many players that I could see going here. It's just like I have no idea anymore.
I go Musty, but I don't want them to go Musty. I'm so sorry if I jinxed that for all the Sharks fans right now. Perreault.
Damn you, Rangers.
I mean, he fits the Rangers, lovingly put. Did Otto Stonberg get taken? Sam, okay. He did, right?
No, he's another name that I liked, Stenberg.
Yeah, okay, because he's another name to look out for.
I actually kind of forgot about him.
No, me too. I looked at my list and I was like, this guy hasn't been taken, and he's a defenseman, right?
Yeah, see, the thing about him that I wonder is he didn't have the greatest season, but then he absolutely torched the under-18 tournament. And sometimes people don't put a lot of stock in that, but we've also seen people then like shoot up because of it. So I'm just curious. I didn't really actually get to watch him much in that tournament, but he was fantastic in terms of performance and production. So I don't know. We'll see. I still put the other 4 names, I think, in his category, but if we come away with him at 26, I think that'll be a very good pick.
Yeah, I'm curious who Greer goes with. Hopefully Greer doesn't trade back to like 31 or 32.
Watch us be the first team that trades.
Honestly, listen, it's the Sharks. I don't mean to jinx it. Can't wait.
Man, we're getting there. All right. This has been fun, guys. I just as we have a little downtime here, I super appreciate you guys being here, and I super appreciate everyone who's watching, sticking with us. Obviously, I think, like I said, I think this is like, of all the stuff that we do, I think this is the trickiest thing that we do, because it's just like there's no plan. We have ideas of things to talk about, and obviously we can react to things on the fly, but we appreciate the support 100%.
Listen, man.
Yeah, this is the most fun day of the year for me, and like I'll miss weddings for this event. You kidding me? Like I crossed this out.
I would miss rehearsals for this event
every year.
I'm in like 2 shows right now, and I would miss all my rehearsals for this. Oh, he's good, man. I really wish we could have reunited him and Smith. Rangers, we will give you Erik Karlsson. Give us Perreault back.
They want Erik Karlsson.
I don't think they got
that's
Karlsson.
No, they can't. But one can dream.
We need all the teams to retain.
Can every single team? What happened with that Tony DeAngelo trade that apparently was salary cap fraud or something crazy like that happened?
Oh yeah, so they have to wait because this is my understanding of the situation is they have to wait because they traded him, and because they traded him with retention, I guess they have to wait until a year from when that trade was made in order to prevent cap shenanigans.
No, yeah, that's real. New York wants Mario Ferraro. Mario Ferraro for Gabriel Perreault. 101, man. Make it happen, great.
Yeah. I have a soft spot for Ferraro, so
okay.
I can't support it, but I do. Yeah, he
had a rough season, not gonna lie, man.
I feel like he's kind of stalled. I feel like he's stalled his development a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like Brett Burns really kept that dude on track.
Well, I don't know. I feel like almost in some degrees that Burns was just the wrong person for him, because I feel like I feel like Ferraro tried to alter his game based on how Burns played, and I think you looked at Ferraro his rookie season. I just thought he looked a completely different player than he's been the last year or two. I don't know if I'm not saying it's necessarily Burns' fault, but I just feel like he'd have been better off playing with somebody else.
Sorry,
yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting because like at first like we'd think like I think Burns got a lot of heat from Sharks fans, and like you can't look wrong at Mario Ferraro's like innocent. He would never do anything wrong. And then without Burns though, I think people are like oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, what have we been saying?
He just got put into a role that he shouldn't have been in. I think he was really looking really good as a third pairing defenseman, and then maybe even like a second pairing defenseman, but then he kind of got forced into way too many minutes, and I just think it was over his head.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like I haven't like completely lost faith, but I haven't completely lost faith. But man, it's definitely a concern.
Yeah,
because again, I love Mario Ferraro, man. Like he's super nice kid. I talked to him when I went to Ottawa for a couple of minutes. Super chill dude. Super nice. Like you just want nice things for nice people, right? And
yeah,
it was so sad.
I met him back when he was at UMass, and yeah, he's just, even then, before he was a pro, he was just a super nice dude. And yeah, like you're saying, you want these guys to succeed.
I want nice things for nice people.
And I'm happy for a guy like him to stay in San Jose. Like a lot of the franchise wants to move him, but I'd prefer to hold on to him at this point.
Now,
I agree.
Question here in the chat. Obviously, goalie at 26. I don't want a goalie in the first round. Are you guys with me there?
No. Probably not with the players that are available. There's too many good players available to try to risk a goalie at 26.
I won't be surprised if it happens, but I agree 100%. I just don't like goalies in the first round. I really don't. And even at 36, it still feels early, even though I am high on Freiball. But it scares me. They're just such a coin flip, I feel like.
Here's what I wouldn't be surprised with. Sharks trade back to like 31, 32.
Pick up another late
Pick up
second,
another
early
late
third.
second.
Make us
rounder,
make
and
us
then
sit here
get,
and do a whole show and then draft tomorrow.
Yeah, basically. Exactly, Ian. Just for you, they're gonna do that.
It was funny because when we did this last year, like me and Mark were like, "Yeah, we'll go to 11 and then we're done, man. It'll be fine, be cool." And then trade it all the way back.
Mm-hmm. Then it turned into the marathon that it has now become.
And now it's just become like it's becoming an annual thing, which I have no problem with, because this is fun. Like I do enjoy this a lot, and again like the chat, having both of you guys on has been awesome, because I wish that I could follow prospects like I used to, but like there's just too many things going on, and there's so many hours in a day, and they're never enough. So I appreciate you guys coming on here and basically being the knowledge on this show, because I'm just here to push the buttons.
Oh, Tanner Bolundike. That's what was he, right?
A little bit off the board.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
39th on.
I like what they did here. They switched it over to the Nashville draft party. Well, where is that? Is that outside the arena? It just looked weird for a second. It looked like a rock show. Okay, yeah, it was outside. Okay.
I mean, Barry Trotz was the GM to come out being like, take swings on guys, so this doesn't surprise me from Nashville. You know what I mean?
Volendijk.
So yeah.
34 future considerations. What did I say in elite prospects? 39. So yeah, it's fine.
48 Hockey News.
It's Barry Trotz was the GM again who came out and said, take swings on guys. So I'm not surprised that they went off the board here.
All right, this is good for San Jose.
Very good.
This is great for San Jose. Give me Blues. Mess up your pick.
Mess it up. It doesn't even matter if they don't, though. Like there's so many.
Yeah,
good
we'll have
players.
a choice. Yeah.
I'm really happy. What's the guy's name? Oh my god.
Musty?
Yes, him. Thank you. Musty and Crystal are still up. I love Crystal, but if the Musty's there, go with Musty.
Yeah, I mean, people have Christel's comparable as Johnny Gaudreau. I mean, that's a pretty good pick to get at 26. Yep. And he just scored 39 goals, 95 points in 54 games in the WHL.
One of those two are going to be available.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
So
one of those two will be available, and a few other good names. I mean, look, they could go off the board here, but we at least know to be excited.
Let's just be excited before we just get all of our hopes and dreams crushed.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's my philosophy.
Guys, do you think
that's literally been my experience in life with the draft? It's like you can never get too attached to one player when you watch them before they're drafted, because then it just hurts when they're not taken.
Adam Fantilli. Sorry, too soon.
Too soon.
I'm over it now. I'm all about Will Smith.
No, we're never gonna be over that. In like 10 years, the Sharks fans will be like, imagine if we got Fantilli and like Will Smith's like an all-star. Sorry, Ian, were you saying something?
No, I just Kevin Way asking in the chat, how do you guys feel about Brindley at 36?
At 36, I mean, the guy played with Adam Fantilli, so I'm concerned that his stats may have been just elevated because he was playing with Fantilli, and Fantilli's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I feel like you can trade back for Brindley.
He's also very small too. Like it. I'm all in favor of taking the small guys. And he just did have a really good freshman year. Michigan's a powerhouse. Like you said, it's hard to read into some of those stats, but yeah, at 36, I think that's a decent pick.
He feels like one of those like Tristan Robbins players who's waiting to explode. You know what I mean? He gives me a little Robbins-y vibes where he's waiting to explode, but I also wouldn't like jump the gun with him. Right. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's see. Clock's ticking on the Blues.
Yeah, someone on the panel of Sportsnet said that's the steal of the day, Perot to the Rangers.
Nah, it seems like a stretch to me.
Yeah, I was about
Steal
to
of the
say,
day was
like,
Mitchell.
Fantilli got taken for 3. You'll seem
Yeah.
to forget that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, Sharks are picker coming up here. Mollendijk has really like such a good skater though, so Pred's got a good skating defenseman. Again, you can't really teach that. So
We got a trade maybe come in.
What makes you think that?
it's just a very long commercial break. I'm assuming.
I don't know. I just have the Rangers on the clock ticking away. So
Oh,
or the Blues.
Blues,
Yes,
right?
I'm sorry.
does it say Pig is in?
Not on my
Yeah, it
screen.
says they're still on the
Yeah,
clock.
I'm on my screen. They're on the clock, so maybe they're
Yeah.
maybe
Oh
they're.
no,
Same
it
here.
says Pig is in right
Oh,
now.
okay. So there you go.
Okay, so it must have just changed. Yeah.
I was about to say, right before the Sharks.
But I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna trade to move up one spot? Nonsense.
No, yeah. All right, this is the pick here that kind of matters for the Sharks, at least.
Chester in the chat. Do you guys think Shane Wright will ever pan out for Seattle? Yes, Shane Wright's gonna be a player, man.
Yeah, Shane Wright's good.
Yeah. Yeah, dropping a 4 last year was not like a big deal. It was a big deal in the moment, but that doesn't change anything about his
No,
value.
If
Shane
you
Wright's
redraft it, I
gonna
know-
be a player, 100%.
If you redraft it, and I know it's early, the guy goes top 3. So, in my opinion, probably top 3-ish.
Yeah, it's
Because like Logan
Too
Cooley
early.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm really
Cooley and Nemec, I think, still go 1. Well, they would go 1-2. But yeah, I think Wright at 3. That makes sense. Even though the Columbus defenseman Jiricek
they
is really
went
good too.
okay. Oh my God, they went okay. So Musty.
They took
No.
Musty?
No, they
they
took
took
Stenberg.
Stenberg.
Oh, okay. Otto Stenberg. All right. Well, I liked him, but there are other names available. So Sharks on the clock,
Yeah.
and there are some good players.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, Sharks,
Don't fuck
don't
this up,
screw this
guys.
up.
Musty, come on, Musty or Crystal.
Is that what you guys want, Musty, at this point?
I want.
I want Musty.
Yeah, I would be happy with either, but probably leaning towards Musty.
I will be also happy if we go Gulyayev, though. I think he's probably the most talented. Well, no, second most talented defenseman in this draft. So
Oh, David
see.
Edstrom is also available. Quentin Musty. I don't know if Gavin Caleb Ritchie. So yeah, a lot of good players available here. Oh,
Right,
this
you
is so
did good, Sharks. You did good to start. No reaching now. It's not do some typical Sharks reaching nonsense.
I don't think Greer's going to do that. Greer's drafting so far has seemed to be okay.
Is it like I don't know. I don't know how much credit he gets for last year though, right? Because like all that work's done when he comes in. So like to me,
Yeah.
this is Greer's first draft because I
That's
don't
valid.
give him the credit for last year because I think all that work was already done, and I don't
Was
think
that his-
a new GM is going to come in and blow all that up.
Yeah.
yeah, and to mention it was also a different staff
Yeah.
around him. It's an entirely different staff, minus Burke. But
Burke never leaves, man.
yeah, he's a lifer.
He's a lifer. He's gonna stay forever. The guys who just went, his little brother was like crying, so cute. Like
Yeah.
this day's so big for these kids, it's not even funny. And like people forgetting, like these guys are teenagers. It's hard
Yeah.
to predict what they're gonna be in like 25, 26, you know? All right.
I'm so excited.
I just can't hide it.
This is gonna be fun. Okay, let's see what they do.
Oh,
My
this
screen is
is
so far
more
behind.
stressful. Why is this more stressful than the 4th overall? Like, is it just me? Because the 4th overall, the four of us, everyone was like, yeah, Will Smith, right? Chat, you all
less obvious, right? Like it's just
it's less obvious.
Like now it's like they could do anything. Like at 4, it's like you kind of know who you should pick, and they picked the guy that they picked the guy they should have picked, in my opinion.
So if the Sharks trade back here,
they would do that to us.
You know what they'll probably end up doing? They'll probably end up taking the goalie now, and then the guy we wanted at 26
at 36, and we'll
guys,
be like,
yeah,
it's
back
fine.
live at 8 a.m. tomorrow, whenever the second round starts. Oh, pick is in. That was really quick.
That was
Good.
fast. They're getting their guy.
Run to the podium.
Run! Bolts! It's like William Eklund Part 2, where everyone's like, just take the fucking man.
Oh man, that's so good. All right, let's see.
That was really fast, though.
Love it.
Dude, I'm hyped.
Well, at least they're not trading it.
Yep,
We got that,
so that's
right?
good.
You sure?
Now we
sure?
gotta get the second part right.
They must have. There must be someone here because that was a really quick pick. It took them less than 4 seconds. Oh, the Blues got 2 really good players.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, holy! That team is gonna have a quick rebuild and be right back into contention, man.
I think you're right. I'm actually more nervous right now than
I know,
was.
right?
I'm super nervous.
Okay, I'm gonna. Domino's, this is not the right time to give me a notification.
Do they know who we're picking?
They seem like the pick is. Do the scouts look happy?
No, I meant do
They're
Domino's
still
know who we're
sitting.
picking.
It says pick is in, but they're still sitting.
No, they
there.
just got up.
Oh,
Yeah,
did
they
they?
just
Okay,
got up.
so I'm about 7 seconds, I guess, behind. I think I'm like 10 seconds behind you.
What's up? Are you happy? No. They're smiling. Not really. They have their poker faces. Oh, dude, I'm so nervous for this trip.
Callum Ritchie's another guy to watch out for, too.
I thought you were saying the Sharks picked Callum Ritchie. Sorry.
He had a really good under-18 tournament, and he's another big body, kind of like what Greer seems to like.
Someone's gonna like clip our reactions.
Let's go. Yeah, I'll make sure that's a thing that happens.
Oh, I'm not looking at my phone. I don't want to spoil.
And yes!
This is awesome.
Yes!
Oh!
The Sharks
Let's go.
winning draft?
Go!
Wow.
Holy crappers!
This I mean, like,
It's just like the first time ever we've gotten like both picks
this
right.
is amazing. Like, I can't, this is so exciting. Like, this is the
Huge.
most exciting
Huge.
I think I've ever been about, like, the Sharks drafting.
That's a steal and a half, my friends.
Dig it.
6'2", 200 pounds.
Woo!
Comparable Pavel Buchnevich, good. 26 goals, 53 games, 78 points in the OHL. That's good. That's good.
What did you do to his
Woo!
hand?
That is a steal and a half. Now, Andrew Crystal, can you fall to 36?
This is great. Yeah, I mean,
Also an American. We could see both him and Smith on the World Junior team together next
Dude,
year.
I hope they put him and Smith together for the prospect scrimmage. Because the dude is really good shooting, right? From what I read, he
yeah, I mean, this is fantastic. Like, it's nice to see the change. Like, I was really nervous coming into this draft as to what they might do, right? Because obviously, new regime, you want to see new things. Really, is I think the point. And so far, so good.
Sorry, I'm still processing that.
I know.
So Grave, Sharks got Musty, Will, and Quentin about to be destroying worlds.
Musty, that's a good question. So where did they have him? Musty, Future Considerations had him at 20. And
Hockey News had him at 17.
And Elite Prospects had him at 12. So just a great.
Y'all be really happy about this. Like,
yeah,
Musty getting Smith and Musty. Honestly, if you would have told me that, I would have screamed, and I did scream. So, dude, this is such a good draft. We should all be jumping with excitement.
Did not think he would drop to us at 26 pre-draft. So I think this is pretty much the best we could have asked for, going 1 and 2 for us.
Like, because the one thing I think the one thing with the Sharks, right? Like, you know, they've had decent drafts, but I've never, like, if you look at a team and look at tomorrow still has to happen, but it's been a very long time where I go, Sharks win a draft. Like, and they could fuck it up tomorrow for sure, but as of right now, looking at it, like, I don't have a problem looking at the first round so far and saying the San Jose Sharks are one of the winners of this year's draft so far.
I think so. The draft, like, this first round isn't over, but if I were to give 3 winners right now, it'd be Sharks, Rangers, Columbus.
That's fair. Yeah.
Because, like, the Sharks got probably top 20 players in this draft.
Yeah. Like,
Musty can be a top 6 guy, in my opinion. Like, Mark, I don't know how you feel about it, but, like, Musty.
Oh, yeah. Top 6 forward for sure.
Top 6 forward. Yeah. Put him with Bordeleau on the second line.
With his size too, like, he complements, I think, a lot of what we have. You think even just him and Will Smith, I feel like he complements him. Smith is a creator, small, shifty, not small, but not large. He's shifty, he's very talented and flashy. And then you have Musty, who more of a shooter, but also a rounded game offensively. I think perfect 2 picks to come away with so far with what they had available to them in this draft.
No, I put in the Teal Town. I'm so happy with this pick. Like, the Sharks, I could have not asked for a better first round for them. Like, I'm so happy with this pick. Like, and they made it really quick, which tells me Greer and his scouting staff good.
Yep.
Yeah. And now also I'm feeling better if they take goalie at 36 now. It depends on who drops, but if you come away with those 2 forwards and then you take a goalie at 36, I won't complain, basically.
So here's my thing. Crystal is still there. I've been harping on this guy because he's being compared to Goodrow. You take him at 36. Like, depending who else is on the board.
So timeline for Musty, what do you guys think?
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
I think another year in the OHL, and then maybe a development year in the AHL, but I think definitely not this year. I'd say at a minimum 2 seasons from now.
Yeah, Kevin might be right. Like, 2 major, junior, 1 AHL, that could be a thing. Even AHL half season, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm super happy. Amazing.
6'2", 100. He had 78 points in 53 games for the OHL. Like, that's insane, man.
Also very young. He hasn't even turned 18 yet.
Yeah.
He's on the tail end of the draft eligibles.
Oh, okay. Quentin Musty picked up one of the highest scoring players in the draft despite an early birth date. Has the size and tools. Yep. Yeah. Our model would have picked him inside the top 10. Who is he compared to? Oh, he's in the area of, like, David. No, that can't. Never mind. Don't quote me, but he seems to be in the area of, like, David Pasternak apparently in this model.
I mean, I would love that, but that's probably far-fetched.
That's really far-fetched, man.
Yeah, one of the younger players in the draft. I like it. I love the pick.
Good skater too. Again, that's what Greer has said he's going to go after, is good skaters, and I 100% support that. Like, that's the one thing that I think is holding Cristal up in this draft, and he's dropping because of it, is that his skating is still just borderline. Obviously, the talent on his side is fantastic. But Greer has said he wants guys who compete and guys who play with pace. And he's getting that in both of his first 2 picks. And most of the moves he's made since joining the franchise have kind of echoed that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
go ahead.
quick, sorry. I think a good player, Sam Bennett is a good comparison with Musty, I feel. Tenacious on the puck, just, you should be, this is such a good draft.
There goes Cal Ritchie.
Yeah.
Colorado.
Oh, that's not fair to Colorado.
It's hard to be mad, though. Like, again.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Well, that trade with the Devils is looking pretty good right now.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Mukama Doolin.
Looking better by the minute.
Dude, and give us another first pick next year.
Ooh.
Set us up.
Yeah.
Man, I'm super...
I'm so
I dig
happy
it.
with
Yeah,
this.
I can't express. I'm running out of words to say how happy I am with these picks, because again, like, it's very rare the Sharks leave me speechless. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
I
weird
can
to
make
have
this
this
sense.
much excitement at the draft as a Sharks fan. 'Cause I feel like we're
Right.
always like, these are the names we want, and then it's like, we're like, who? What?
What? Right?
I feel like Eklund was like the only other year where we're like, okay,
Yeah,
yes,
let's go, right.
People are saying how much they love the San Jose's pick, and how often do you get that? Like, maybe that last time what happened was the Eklund draft?
Yeah.
That's it.
I really hope Giliev, we pick him at 36 now, the more I'm looking at him.
It's very realistic that he's there still. Obviously got the Russian factor, but yeah, the names. There's going to be good players at 36, like first round level talents. So it's a good place to be sitting right now. The Sharks going to have their 3rd pick after having Smith and Musty coming into that pick.
Mm-hmm. 26 is one of the highest ranked
People also, Musty is a really fun name to say.
Has Tim Burke been fired?
Quentin Musty.
Someone in the chat was saying they didn't see Tim Burke at the table at all. So
I saw him. He was
he
there.
there? Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
never mind then.
Kidding me? I could never miss that comb over.
No,
Oh my
I think
goodness.
this is such a good draft. Like, now we have 2 actual top 6 guys with Bordelot, Eklund, Gushin. Like, we're starting to get somewhere. And then next
hope
year,
so.
also a high draft pick. Like, it's starting to come together.
I think there's still I think this year's going to be incredibly painful.
This year's going to be shit.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this is
How many
This is
ways can
pretty
you
good.
polish off a turd this year?
it's going to be harder. The only disappointment was Mike Greer congratulating the Golden Knights on their cup. Good time.
I feel like he kind of has to, though. Am I wrong?
It's the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do. I mean, yeah. So, I don't know. Let me just make sure. I'm just gonna check everything real quick. I don't know. I think we could probably start looking up this, because I don't think I mean, with our luck, we'll go off the air and the Sharks will trade back into the first round for another pick. But I'm curious to see what the Leafs take.
Yeah, no, me too. I was about to say, I'm curious to see who the Leafs take.
So there were no trades.
Yeah,
right?
so far,
Still
no trades.
zero trades.
Well, no, you know what's going to happen? The minute we log off, a trade's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And it'll be the Sharks trading to like number 31.
We go back in the...
I don't remember the last time there was no trades in the first round.
Yeah.
That tells me tomorrow might be so chaotic.
Might be, yeah.
It's annoying that it starts, what is it, like 11 a.m. here, 8 a.m. West?
Am I really willing to wake up at 8 a.m. to see who the Sharks pick at 36?
If you don't wake up at then, you'll probably miss it by 8:10 because it starts to fly.
No,
Yeah,
literally?
Yeah, it rockets.
It might be.
Yeah, it rockets. I think I'll be around, and I'll probably try and have commentary on Twitter, maybe. I don't know. I make no promises.
No, but I think after, like, it's going to be... I'm really curious to see, like, how this draft class rounds up, because this might be one of the best yet for the Sharks. Who does Brad Treliving select?
Yeah, and that's what I'm curious to see. Because, again, I think that's the other fascinating thing about draft, when you have, like, a new regime come in, and to see how things change. But, again, you wonder again, kind of similar situation with last year, right? You were like, how much does Brad Treliving have to do with this draft?
Yeah.
Who did they select?
I haven't heard yet.
He's still doing his thanks on my broadcast.
Oh, Cohen, Easton Cohen, London, OHL.
Cohen, okay.
Is that a reach or is that just me?
I'm looking down my list.
So it's a reach. He's not on the first page of my list. Oh, wait.
Like, the name looks familiar. I'm trying to find him. He was 89th in the hockey news.
Ooh! Sorry, Steve Dangle. I cannot find this man. That's so.
Yeah. Let's see, I'm trying to find him in FC Hockey.
I don't have elite prospects, I don't think, unless I'm missing him.
Oh, there's another Thornton in this draft.
I think it's fair to say that he was off the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
As I'm scrolling through my I don't. That seems like, wow.
Who is this kid?
From London Knights, his stats aren't terribly impressive for a draft eligible player. So here's what we've got. Bob McKenzie had him at 53. FC Hockey had him at 118. Elite Prospects at 66. The highest was TSN Craig Button, who had him at 34. But yeah, this is pretty far off the board.
Yikes! Wow,
That's a reach and a half.
I'm sure.
Love
sure
it.
These fans will
absolutely
handle
love
that
it.
well. Now they're getting London Knights. Now they'll be happy.
I'm just still so happy Sharks got Musty.
Yeah, that's a wow. That's a wow pick for sure.
All right, so 4 more in the first round.
Dude.
Yeah, I believe for anyone who is interested in watching the second round, I believe it'll be on NHL Network. They usually, I think they'll
and ESPN Plus, I think.
ESPN Plus, yeah.
They usually stream it on NHL's website, I think too. The second round, I'm not in the States. I think they do anyway. I'm sure it'll still be on TV because we're Canada and we're dumb.
So when are we going to learn about the Connor Bedard ELC?
That he was signing during commercial break. We'll find out. I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, if you want a good time, I'm sure Twitter is just amazing to log into right now. After the
Musty led OHL first-time draft eligible players with 52 assists and a 1.47 points per game. He posted an 18-game point streak, 7 goals, and 28 assists. Second longest in the league for the season.
And you know what? Like, I mean,
that guy's such a steal.
Yeah, I haven't seen a single negative comment about our pick so far.
No.
Everyone's saying they love it. They had him in like their top 20, top 15. So
It was funny because I'd probably go Brindley or Guriev here with the Leafs pick, and then he just wrote or not ...
Like Sudbury's not a fantastic team. Like, I think they were a team that was like barely above 500, got swept in the playoffs. So to put the numbers, like Sudbury, like I know they've had a couple of high profile picks in the last few years, but Sudbury is not a team that you regularly associate with like top end talent either. So really good numbers.
They're kind of just there.
Yeah.
Everyone's laughing that when the Will Smith, they played Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when he walked down to to the welcome to NHL. And like I think San Jose tweeted out a meme about it. So like there's a Photoshop now of like Will Smith is like in the center, and then you see like Tomas Hertl, Mike Greer.
You know what? I was wondering if he absolutely hates that, but I feel like he actually
Oh no,
buys
he
into it
started
and loves
singing
it.
it
Yeah,
in the interview apparently.
That's fine.
exactly. Which is good. That's good.
Also, Flyers are also a big winner of this draft.
Yeah, I think the Flyers have done well. I think it's good. It's definitely something that I need to like sit down and like not have to come up with a comment on in the moment. But I'm looking forward to like sitting down and kind of picking through this draft and kind of seeing. But I think the Flyers is a good shout. I think they've done some good things. They've done things like that. If I'm a Flyers fan, like I said earlier, like I think you're looking for. You need a change in direction. You've kind of done the same thing over and over and over again with different management basically doing the same thing and kind of seeing where it got them. So I think, I don't think either of the Flyers picks were like super Flyers guys that you just knew they were going to pick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Michkov is the riskier one, yet huge upside, and then Bonk is the more safe one. In terms of probably getting an NHL talent out of it. So, and it's also a forward and a defenseman. I think it's good. It's a good first couple moves to build off of in the draft.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
If Will Smith didn't like it, he would have been William Smith. Touche.
Well, also,
Fair.
the USA team next year for the World Juniors can have Cam Lund, Musty, and Smith.
Theo Lindstein goes to St. Louis.
Okay,
I think I saw his name, so that's less concerning.
Yeah. He looked like he was like a high second round pick, so I think that's fair in this range.
Yeah, Theo Lindstein, Sweden, 6'1" defenseman. Yeah. So we'll see what the Sharks do at 36. And yes, AJ, it will be great to judge this in like 7 years. We can all laugh at our reactions when, God forbid, one of these players turns out to be a bust.
You stop right now.
Knock on wood. Yo.
This is an all vibe zone tonight. We're having a good vibe zone tonight.
Well, I was just saying, like the World Juniors team and Team USA, the Sharks might have 3 players on it. Who knows? They might be on a line together. Cam Lund, Will Smith, Musty. Sign me up. We need to recognize that we need to keep Smith's. Oh my god. Yeah, the Blues also had a really good draft.
Tucker in the chat asking why we like Musty so much. Guys, tell them.
Mark, I'll let you go.
Big, offensively talented, very projectable to the NHL with his game. I think he can do a little bit of everything. I don't really see many downsides to his game, and I see a whole lot of upside. So I think, projectability is big. I don't really think he's got a pretty high floor. So that is what I like, but I also just like the size and the skating ability. Anytime you have a guy who's big and can skate, that's always something you can build around.
Yeah, no, for sure. He has top 6 potential, and like that's all you can ask for with like a pick at 26. Like, and he honestly might be our second line winger come like 3 years, not 3, 4, maybe 3 or 4 years from now. So like, you know.
He's also been shooting up too, like in terms of his his game. Like this year, his production pretty much doubled, if not more, from the previous season. And I think he's a play driver as well as a finisher. So it's just he looks like a good player that you can get at 26. Like if it's a guy who's a top 20 talent and he's sitting there at 26, I think you have to be happy with that pick.
Yeah, I'm super happy because, like, you know, whenever Musty comes to town now, I've got tickets to buy. So I'm looking forward to that. I always like when they draft guys in the OHL so I can actually go watch them.
That's how I feel about Hockey East.
I bet, yeah.
So it's like, I 100% understand what you're going with there. I'll take a drive up to Boston this year, check out a Northeastern BC game, and I'll be perfect. I'll be seeing 3 Sharks prospects.
No, yeah.
All right, so How many picks we got left?
Only
Wrap
3.
This up? Might as well. We've come this far.
Yeah,
We've
come
come
this
this
far.
far.
Who knows? The Sharks might trade back in.
St. Louis, Carolina, and Colorado, Vegas, and Carolina.
So what steal is Carolina going to end up with this draft?
Some good names available still. I mean, your boy Cristal is still there, right?
I'm hoping he falls down to 36, though.
Oh, you're saying 36. You're saying Carolina.
No, I'm just saying what steal is Carolina going to get because their scouts are ridiculously good in Carolina.
Yeah. Dragicevic is still good, offensive defenseman. He was projected by a lot of people for top 20.
Yeah. Also, more on Musty, he was projected to go top 10 a year ago, so.
Mm-hmm.
We've come this far. Now we've come this far. We're finishing this.
Oh no, we are.
We're gonna do it. All
I want a trade to happen.
all 32 picks. It's gonna be good. Yeah, look at obviously, again, if you're new here, if you're watching us for the first time, all the normal stuff. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment in the chat. Obviously, we do a bunch of stuff here. Obviously, I think this won't be the last that you hear about this week from us. I'm sure we'll have more content coming soon, obviously. And then obviously if anything else happens, we generally get on here and we generally try and break it down as quickly as we can. So again, if it's your first time here and you are a Sharks fan, or even if you're not, maybe just a hockey fan, maybe just want to hear other people's perspectives, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. If you got a feeling really froggy, hit the bell, and then you'll be notified whenever we go on live stream, which is all we do basically.
Who is he gonna? That man's a wizard.
All right, what do we got going on here? Carolina.
More congratulations.
Who do they pick?
Yes, and AJ also pointing out in the chat that we did Puck Knowledge did a lot of giveaways this year, and we expect that to continue across the board.
The Bradley Nadeau.
Bradley Nadeau. He's the guy from the BCHL that I really like. That's a good pick.
Of course, Carolina gets him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised with Carolina's. They're really good at drafting.
Yeah, he's going to Maine also in Hockey East next year. But very talented. Small, not as small as some of the other guys, but yeah, he's skilled and he just tore up the BCHL this past season.
John, $5 super chat donation. Great job, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the support, obviously.
Yeah. What was all that talk about a possible Hurdle trade? Basically, the reporters just tweeted out that the Sharks got calls regarding Hurdle and Couture.
Yeah,
Nothing's gonna happen. It's speculation.
When you're a team in this, I'm sorry, Jules, go ahead.
No, you're all good. I'm just saying nothing's gonna happen. Hurdle was not traded. Couture was not traded.
Yeah, I think when you're a team in the situation the Sharks are, I likened it to kind of being roadkill and the carrion birds kind of circling, and that's what it is, right? If when you're in a situation like the Sharks are in and you're trading guys like you're going to trade Erik Karlsson who just won a Norris, obviously teams are going to be like, hey, anyone else want out of there that maybe we can get on the cheap? And I think that's what it is. I think guys will call about those players, but again, all those guys have trade protection, so they have to want to go, and I haven't heard anything like Hurdle wanting out or Couture wanting out. Couture, anytime he's been asked, has basically said, no, I'm fine where I am, thanks. So I just think, you're going to hear rumors, but I don't think there's anything to them beyond Karlsson where there's confirmed that he wants to go.
Yeah, Karlsson was the only one who flat out came out and said it. I honestly think Couture is going to do this rebuild and, lead these younger kids to make the Sharks better. That's where y'all can disagree and be like, we want him traded. But like I've said before,
Yes, dead fish also
I'm a big
attract
fan of
carrion
Couture. I'm
birds.
100% with you as well. Like I don't understand the portion of the fan base that wants to trade him, unless it's just because they really think there's no point in having a person in his age range when your team's not
Right.
competing. But I still see value in keeping him, and I still think he's a good player. Not to mention his loyalty to the franchise. Like that means something to me at least. So, yeah.
I think Logan Couture was never like he wouldn't have been my first choice for captain when he was named captain, but I think that just he got the captaincy at the worst possible time, right? And I think he gets a lot of shit for where the Sharks are that I don't think like I Logan Couture is not my favorite player on this team, but I think he gets more shit than he probably deserves based on being the captain and just getting the captaincy when the wheels completely fell off, which I think would have happened regardless of who was wearing the C at that point. But obviously because he took over as captain, I think he gets a lot of shit for that probably doesn't deserve.
Yeah. No, for
I
sure.
think that's kind of the vibe of the Sharks, though, for the last few years. I feel like a lot of guys who are still good performers, their game is getting dragged down by a team that just isn't very good. And people forget that a bad team can make good players not look their best. And I think that's kind of just, it started with Burns. I feel like it happens with Ferraro. Some of the other players, I think just the overall inefficiencies of this team are kind of weighing down on these guys.
Yeah.
Colorado is Colorado picking again?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they just pick? No, that was Carolina. My bad.
Colorado's up now, and then we wrap up the first round with Vegas, unfortunately, because they won a cup. But yeah.
Cat, why do you keep attacking me? All right, let's make some picks. We don't need to. The NHL's looking at the clock and be like, well, we got until 11. We got to pad this out. No, we don't. Chop.
Must says last year's pick, Joey Muldowney, is one of his best friends. There you go, man.
Hey.
I should just turn on post notifications for Shane at this point.
Well, Downey's the one who had the Shark San Jose ties, doesn't he?
I need
Isn't
to.
he from the area?
I think that was Lawback.
No, that was
Lawback. Yeah.
What's his name? Yeah.
Musty and Lund can both shoot the puck, and that makes me so happy.
Yeah, I think we just got our number 1 rated prospect and our third.
Yeah.
I'd probably put Musty just slightly behind Eklund, but yeah,
they
we
took
just
the
completely
defenseman.
boosted the system.
Goliev.
Okay.
That's not fair. They already have good demons.
Okay. I think it's a great pick
No, it absolutely
in that
is.
spot. Yeah.
Gavin Brindley still on the board, named to watch for the Sharks, round 2. Jaden Perron. Bo Akey. If you're looking for D, Caden Price.
Dragicevic.
Yeah.
Also, Quentin Burns is one to keep an eye out for. I liked him. He's a little down the list, so like maybe not with 36, but he might start falling.
Yeah, I like that pick for Colorado.
Yeah, see, the thing about Cristal, I think the reason he's dropping is because the combination of size and not having like electric skating abilities.
Yeah.
I don't know, that combination historically isn't the best, but his production kind of says otherwise, so it's hard. It's a hard one.
I mean,
I think at 36, maybe you take that chance.
at this point, I'm just like, honestly, if the Sharks go D, I also won't be too upset, but the D in this draft is very slim right now.
Mm-hmm. I think I'd be cool with Dragicevic at 36, but I think I'm growing more and more cool with us taking the goalie, Hrebal, at 36.
Same.
There's no one else that's available that I'm like, I absolutely need that player. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what they do. tomorrow.
The fact
Like I
that you
said,
got Smith
there'll be
and
people
Musty,
around
though.
tomorrow. We'll figure it out.
The fact that they got Smith and Musty, though, is ridiculous.
All right, who's up next? The Golden Knights.
Boo.
Boo. We left defense, eh?
Yeah, it seems like a lot of Sharks fans want the goalie now at 36, and I'm not upset about that.
I think, yeah.
We don't hate that.
Yeah, and I don't think any team in front of them is actually going to take him. The Ducks, the only one, Columbus, maybe goes for the goalie because I don't know how good their goalie prospect pool is, and then the Blackhawks. Like, before to take that prospect, like with their goalie depth in the system.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only concern with them. But honestly, pick 35, I'm going to say this again. Bedard loves Crystal, maybe. But that's the only real teams I'm concerned about taking a goalie before then. I'm not sure how good Columbus's goalie pipeline is right now.
Yeah, looking at the picks in front of us, yeah, does Vegas? I mean, Vegas probably doesn't take a goalie, right? And
No.
Why take a going to?
I mean, the Ducks could, right? Gibson is kind of toward the tail end of his time.
Yeah,
right?
I think there's a guy who needs. If you want to talk about guys who need to change the scenery, I think, I think Gibson. By the time I think that team absolutely turns things around, is Gibson still going to be good? I don't think he's good now.
Yeah, I've always thought he's a bit overrated, and I don't know if that's just because I feel like the Sharks tended to do fairly well against him for the most part. I didn't think he was one of those guys that just like he wasn't like Smith, who weirdly always dominated us. But yeah, I mean, there's no reason for him to really be
Like there
there.
was at one point where I thought like Gibson was absolutely elite, but I'm just like and the Ducks have been ass. Don't get me wrong, the Ducks have been absolute ass, but to me, I don't know if there's an elite goalie there anymore. And I wonder if it's going to be a situation like Thomas Vokoun where he got traded too late. By the time he got traded to a contender, it was too late because being on a shit team for so long, there was no tread left on those tires. And I wonder if that's going to be the case for John Gibson.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what direction. The Sharks right now, though, seem to be rolling with this draft.
Yeah, and you think about it, you come away with Hrabel. He fits the Sharks' timeline because goalies typically are going to take 3 to 4 years. He's going to college at UMass in the fall. He's going to need probably at a minimum 2 to 3 years there. Then a lot of times goalies need some AHL time, and by the time he would be ready for NHL duty, you got to think that that's when the Sharks are starting to compete again.
Yeah,
right?
honestly, the more we're like talking about this, the more I want Hrabel.
Yeah.
Like the more we're talking about this, the more I want Hrabel.
Just in the chat.
I know, Ian. It's sad.
Well, please let Kelly McCrimmon come up and congratulate himself on a Stanley Cup. I want that. I need it.
Oh, honestly, please. That's a fun little meme right there. Didn't that
It would be
guy
a very
say,
Vegas
can we
thing
just
to
talk
do.
about the fact Riley Smith is now okay? Edistrom? Who?
I do have a question we got to get to before we get out of here. All right. Oh, I thought he was going to. It's like I'd like to congratulate. Obviously, David Poyle.
All right.
Congratulating.
Another Swede. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good pickup. A center, sweet, good. I think it might be a tad off the board in my opinion, but
Yeah. I think at 32, you're probably okay there. He's a little bit off the board, but
it's 32.
yeah, not a bad pick.
And you have a Stanley Cup. So who
He's
gives
another guy who had a really good under 18 tournament.
You have a Stanley Cup, so no one cares.
Yeah. You can't be stressing anything at that point.
He is tall. Good lord.
6'3". Yeah.
Okay, so
Jesus.
a couple. Let's get to. I want to get to a couple things in the chat here. One question was, what do you guys think happens with Jeremy Swayman? I think Jeremy Swayman was a guy that a lot of Sharks fans had kind of circled. Now that Mackenzie Blackwood's been brought in, obviously I think he's going to get an extension here. So what do you guys think happens to Swayman?
From I don't think he's getting traded to the Sharks if that's what you guys are.
No. I just.
hoping
What do
for.
you think happened to him in general? Like, is you think he's still out? 'Cause they just signed another guy, didn't they? One of their other goalies too.
I don't. Oh yeah, I don't know if he's good though, but I think he stays in Boston. Boston again seems to get players at ridiculously cheap deals.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he stays in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the goalie Boston looks at possibly as the guy of the future. You still have Ullmark for 2 years, right? And Ullmark's obviously a beast, but it depends on how much Swayman is asking for. But I think whatever team does trade for him, they're gonna have to pay a ton, and I'm just kind of overdoing that at this point from a franchise perspective. So while I would love to see him with the Sharks, I can't stomach giving up another first-round pick and more for him. Not to mention that next year the Sharks' first-round pick is likely going to be in the lottery range.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
what are we going to offer for him? But I could see him getting moved because, again, Boston is still in that window of competing, right? So you don't have unlimited cap when you have a team like they do. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks.
Tiger bring up a very good point in the chat. Doesn't matter who Vegas drafts, they're getting traded.
Yes.
Did they have a first round pick last year? Did they keep the first round pick?
I don't know. I think that's true. Their first round pick's getting traded. It's
you were a future Columbus Blue Jacket. Congratulations.
There you go. All right. I don't think there's anything else in the chat we really need to hit up. Guys, I super appreciate you guys going and being here with me and going through the long haul of the entire draft. Another successful show, and I could not have done it without you guys. So thank you. Any final thoughts, Mark?
Yeah, this was a great first round. We still got a long way to go. I think they still have 10 more picks, 9 after that 6th rounder that they traded. But this is not how I would have drawn it up because I didn't think Musty was going to be available at 26. But if I could have drawn this up this way, this is exactly what I would have liked. Mm-hmm. So you come away with 2 high-profile talents, 2 young Americans. Both have some time to develop, and I think they're numbers 1 and 3 in our depth pool. So very exciting day for the Sharks.
Awesome. Jules?
I'm so happy. Like, this is the best draft we could have asked for from the Sharks. Like, unless we got Fantilli, but like that was a reach. I'm so happy. The Sharks are getting probably 2 of their future top 6 players right now. You have Eklund, so that's 3 of your top 6. You have Bordeleau, 4. You can't be happier if you're a Sharks fan right now. So we did it. They did great. Let's hope they don't screw up tomorrow, though.
Fair enough. Again, yeah, I just want to echo what I said earlier. Obviously, appreciate everyone coming along for the ride here. I hope we were entertaining. I hope you learned something. I hope you laughed. I hope you cried. I hope you didn't cry because there's no reason to cry as a Sharks fan today. One of the first drafts in a long time where so far, again, tomorrow could change things, but so far, this is the happiest I've been with the Sharks drafting. Also,
real quick, Musty's also at Dev Camp next week, so we get to watch both of our top picks demolish the rest of the prospect pool, lovingly put.
Awesome. Again, we do this all the time, so if you're new here, please hit the like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you want to follow us, you can find us all on the Twitter machine. I am at Ian Blogs Hockey. Mark is at Mark SJS, and Jules is at Sharks_Jules. So if you want to follow along our nonsense on Twitter, that's the place to do it. And again, yeah, so hopefully stay tuned for more content. There's definitely going to be more content coming. And so I'm going to get us out of here. Again, all the social media. Follow Tealtown USA, tooltownusa.com. Follow us on Twitter. All the other things, again, all the social media channels. And be sure to, hang out with us going forward. Other than that, I have been at Ian Blogs Hockey for Mark and Jules. We wish you all a fantastic evening, and we are out of here.